Three, two, one. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. If I can get my equipment going, we always have some problems every now and then, but I think most people are probably somewhat aware of what we're likely to discuss today, simply because it's been literally all over the news. Literally all over the news. Um, I guess to some degree, if you don't watch a lot of central or left wing media, maybe not as much, but if you watch right wing media, this has undoubtedly been on the news. And this is indeed Trump's. I'm trying to get my charger in on for my TikTok audience, but Trump's, what do you call it? Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden. Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden, which was proposing to be one of the largest rallies he's ever had. To be able to sell out Madison Square Garden has always been a significant accomplishment. I believe Trump succeeded. He did succeed in selling out Madison Square Garden. But as opposed to celebrating the accomplishment of selling out Madison Square Garden, some of the acts stole the show. Some of the acts that were Trump was the headliner, obviously, but some of his opening acts stole the show, so that even though Trump sold out the garden and had all of that support in a blue state like New York, it's kind of backfired. Now, look, at the end of the day, I know a hell of a lot of my beloved MAGA are going to suggest liberals are thin-skinned. That's the title of this particular live stream. Are liberals too damn thin-skinned? Some are going to say that some of the material stated during the rally, listen, it's comedy. We got a comedian here. We got another spokesperson here. This is politics, all fair in love and war. But we have to bring up, because at the end of the day, there's been a hell of a lot of comments all over my post, and I've seen them on many others. You can't take a joke. It's thin-skinned. Liberals need to toughen up, etc., etc. It's a comedian. This is what comedians do. I'm going to give you a name, and we'll discuss it. Kathy Griffin. She's a well-known comedian. The redhead. Remember the whole severed head of former President Trump? She does roast. She is a comedian. How did MAGA take that? Were they too thin-skinned or were they tough? Were they tough and understood it was just a joke? Talking about Kathy Griffin. How many of you folks remember that? She outright got canceled. There is no denying that Kathy Griffin suffered tremendously for what she did. If I'm correct, she stated that the Secret Service came out to talk to her because she was holding up a severed head of President Trump. He was the president at that time. MAGA went apeshit about that. She's a comedian, remember? This is what comedians do. There was none of that at that time. So what I'm trying to point out, and what I want to hear from you folks is it possible for a comedian doing what comedians allegedly do, is it possible for them to, quote unquote, go too far? Or are comedians allowed to do whatever the hell they want because at the end of the day, they're just a comedian? But I think we all remember the whole Kathy Griffin incident. I think most of us remember that. So that's what I'm asking. She's just a comedian. Now, also, I have to ask this question as well. How many of you folks do believe that the nation of Puerto Rico is indeed a floating island of garbage? Because at the end of the day, if what this comedian was stating was a joke, the obvious question is, who finds that funny? You're calling essentially one of the American territories, almost akin to someone referring to the state of Wyoming as a state of garbage. Why would someone do that and consider that to be funny? He's a comedian. His job is to tell jokes. What audience would find referring to the nation of Puerto Rico? They're all American citizens, by the way. This has absolutely nothing to do with illegal immigration. They're born citizens. Puerto Ricans are born citizens of the United States. So what audience would you be speaking to that would find referring to American citizens of Puerto Rico as garbage to be funny? I'd be curious to know that as well. So the whole title of the live stream, as I just stated, is, are Democrats too thin-skinned? Should Democrats have heard Puerto Rico being referred to as an island of garbage simply bust into laughter? Was that the aim? Is that the proper response to what this comedian was saying? I want to run it by you folks. And we're going to talk about a few other things, such as suggesting that Kamala Harris was a prostitute and she has a pimp that she works for, and referred to her as the Antichrist. Remember when Trump faced 3 attempts on his life? We know one confirmed because he actually got struck by the round. But one of the things former President Trump often states is the rhetoric led to a hit on his life. Here he is hosting a rally where folks are referring to Kamala Harris as the Antichrist. Wow, the devil. So I do want to run that by you as well. Is this a case of what's good for the goose is not good for the gander? I'm curious. I want to be corrected on this. Maybe it is indeed liberals having too thin skin. But I want to run it by you folks and see what your opinion is on this, because I got some numbers I'm going to run by you. Fact is, in the state, I don't know if I still have my damn notes on this, but I do want to run this by you because I think it's kind of important. In 2016, Trump won Pennsylvania. Good on former President Trump. Turned Pennsylvania blue. He won that state by 44,000 votes. He won the state of Pennsylvania by 44,000 votes. Now, we know they're already saying whoever wins Pennsylvania with its 1920 electoral college votes, whoever wins Pennsylvania is likely to win the whole damn thing. There are other avenues to getting your 270 votes, electoral college votes, if you lose Pennsylvania, but damn it, will it be hard. The best path to victory falls with winning Pennsylvania. Trump won Pennsylvania in 2016 by 44,000 votes. Biden flipped it back blue in 2020, winning it by 81,000 votes. So Trump wins it by 44,000, Biden wins it by 81,000. Just shows you it's not a wide margin between who wins and who loses Pennsylvania. I'm giving you these numbers. Trump winning by 44,000, Biden winning by 81,000, because of what happened yesterday. In the state of Pennsylvania, there are over 600,000 Latin voters. Here's the kicker. 300,000 plus are Puerto Ricans. 300,000 voters in that one state are Puerto Ricans. I just told you Trump won by only 44,000 and Biden won by 81,000 in 2020. 600,000 Latino voters in this one state, 300,000 of them being Puerto Rican. If just 1/8 of them become disgruntled with what happened at that rally, it could make a big difference. It could make a big difference. If just 1/8 of these voters get pissed off. Now, keep in mind, we know Ricky Martin and Bad Bunny and Jennifer Lopez and her former husband, whatever the guy's name is, they're all coming out pissed off about this. Outlaw, Steve, thank you for the support. Appreciate it. They're on YouTube. Thank you, Steve Outlaw. So we're asking that question. Is what happened at that rally, could it be some pseudo version of an October surprise? 600,000 Latins in Pennsylvania. By the way, every swing state out there, Nevada, Arizona, we mentioned Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, they all have more than 44,000 Puerto Rican voters that Trump won by in Pennsylvania. But as I said, Pennsylvania has 300 plus thousand of them. Think it can come back to bite him? What say you going straight to the box? And keep in mind, Trump has been on a fairly strong path, at least in my estimation, to likely win this. This is not good in my opinion, but am I wrong is what I want to talk to you folks about. We the people, good evening. Welcome to the show. Last night's rally, it's over for him. I don't know if I would say that in the comment section. I'm trying to bring up a guest. Don't know what just happened. And we will see if the box resets and moved on with the program. One of my subscribers, the one and only Jeremy. Good evening, Jeremy. Welcome to the program. I'm doing good. So what happened? What happened at this rally? What the hell went on?
Well, two things. Number one, a comedian made a shitty joke that I thought that I didn't care about, that I didn't feel offended by. I didn't feel offended by it even a little bit, even as a Latino. Why? Because, let's be honest, Puerto Rico ain't exactly the nicest place in the world.
Garbage.
Sorry.
Garbage. Yeah, the whole fucking nation, garbage.
No, the way the country's run. Not necessarily the people, but hey, a spade is a spade. Sorry, you gotta no one's gonna say like if you said oh yeah, North Korea is a shitty country, no one's gonna be like, are you saying all North Koreans are bad people? It's like, yeah, no, don't play that game with me. Come on.
Okay, but I hear your point, Jeremy. But can you imagine at a Democratic rally, a Democratic comedian referring to a state like Alabama or let's say Mississippi, because they're poorly ran, they're very dirt poor as well. The whole state is garbage. You think the right would just be like, okay. I mean, call the whole, all of these are Americans. We're not talking about North Korea. We're talking about Americans. Puerto Ricans are citizens by birth. Why call them garbage? They're part of this country.
I'd say, well, first off, this is something that a lot of people aren't reporting on. The Trump team actually came out immediately and said, this does not reflect our views. So we should acknowledge that. Now, I understand that, once, it's kind of like dropping a hard R. Once you do that, it's kind of like, it's like, well, you're going to really take that back, right? It's kind of hard to do that. But this was a comedian, not Trump himself. So, And again, if this was a comedian, not Trump, but nobody said anything and nobody was like, whoa, that's not us. That'd be like, yeah, but you didn't say anything against it. But they did. Now, and again,
let me just say this. I understand. And I do agree with you that the Trump campaign spoke out against it. But do you think Trump himself should address this? I mean, some campaign manager. This is Trump's personal rally. He wanted it specifically at Madison Square Garden for the symbolic nature of it. We know he's the reason why I was there. Should he say something about this?
I think that would be a good idea, but I don't think it's necessarily the end of his career. Again, people like Tony Hinchcliffe are known to be controversial, and I do believe that their comedy does have a time and a place. But but that's the thing, I think Tony Hinchcliffe is one of those people who, because he's controversial, he kind of fits within the Trump campaign a little bit to some degree. I do think he should have tempered and known where he's at when he's making these jokes, but remember, this is the same president that that would say things like, I'll bomb the shit out of them, or all sorts of other things the bringing crime, the bringing drugs, is they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. It's not exactly unthought of, unthinkable.
Right, it's interesting you would bring up that he's known for doing this, and you're bringing up the rhetoric that normally comes from Trump, which will lead to the obvious question. This guy, what he said, was it really a surprise, or was he possibly selected because he says crazy racist shit like this? Because some folks are saying this is racist. Some folks are saying this is outright racist.
I don't think it was racist. I think that this is kind of critical of the government of Puerto Rico, and and for good reason. Let's there back when can't remember what hurricane it was, but there was like a really bad incident that happened over in Puerto Rico, and the government was caught trying to make Trump look bad by withholding supplies that Trump had given to the Puerto Rican people to help them recover. Way back in I think 2018, somewhere around there.
Never heard of Jeremy. I never heard the comedian or anybody else refer to the Puerto Rican government. They said the whole damn island is garbage. That means the citizens there too. How are the citizens supposed to view this?
Well, I think the citizens are supposed to understand and that they weren't called out specifically.
How do you know? How do you know? He said there's a floating island of garbage, and it's known as Puerto Rico. How are they supposed to know he's only talking to certain people, talking about certain people on the island?
Well, that's the thing. It's kind of implied. Now, I know you could say that it could be implied the other way around, and I would agree. I believe he could have followed it up by after he said I believe the island is called Puerto Rico. He could have followed it up with hey, listen, I love you Puerto Ricans, but your government sucks.
That would have been now that right there would have been a cleanup to some degree. I love my Puerto Ricans, but your government sucks. That would have been a big cleanup, but he didn't do any of that. What about the notion of Puerto Ricans, better yet, not just Puerto Ricans, but folks of Latin ancestry during sex, they don't pull out? They just come inside like they do our country. He stated that we have a greeting for how we meet Hispanics, and it's kind of like, no, stay back. What the hell is all it is?
So first off, he was making a joke that, let's be honest, Latinos do have a lot of kids. Come on, and it's not untrue. They're heavily Catholic and Christian in people, and a lot of Christians are very much against the idea of contraceptives. So there is a lot of so there is some level of remember, a lot of race-based jokes, which I think at a Trump rally might be something you want to stay away from in general. But a lot of race-based jokes are kind of exaggerations of truth. Or taking something that's common and making it seem like everyone does it when it really doesn't. There's jokes about black people the fire, the smoke detectors. There's
so
jokes
let me ask you this then. Do you think any of these jokes at all made Puerto Ricans or even Hispanics look good, or do you think this painted them in a negative light?
I think they kind of painted them in a neutral light at some points and a negative one at other times.
Garbage. He referred to the whole nation of Puerto Rico. So if you come from Puerto Rico, you're coming from an island of garbage. You see any neutralism in that?
Yeah, but again, you got to remember, Tony Hinchcliffe is somebody. If he said this at a comedy club, nobody would have cared. Everyone would have been like, yeah, but that's the point. If you paid money to go see him, it's because you want to hear dark comedy. And that's kind of the big issue is not really that Tony Hinchcliffe said these things. It's that he said them at a rally. If it wasn't for that, people wouldn't care. If Tony and Trump were to both sit down and just shoot the breeze and have a good time on his podcast, and he were to make these kind of jokes, nobody would have come here because that wasn't a rally.
You raise it before I got to move it on as always, but before I do, you raise a good point of if he had said it at a comedy show, people may have taken it differently. The reason I say you raise a good point because at a comedy show, your audience. The only people at your comedy show are people who paid to come see you. You say what your fans want to hear. But when you say it at a rally, it indicates that you believe that this type of stuff is what the Republican Party likes to hear. Negative criticism of Hispanics. It sounds like that's what he gauged the audience as, is that they like me saying awful things about Hispanics.
Yeah, I understand, but the most important thing you got to remember is that Tony didn't just get away with it scot-free. Like I said, the Trump campaign did kind of renege on this and say hey, you can't Like, this doesn't represent us. Now, I think next time they'll probably vet his speech, but
too late. He won't be back. He won't be back. He's done. He won't be back.
Yeah, but I think the initial reason why they probably didn't vet his speech is because one of the things that comedians hate is when you try to, control what they can and can't and say.
I don't see it. Fair enough, Jimmy. I do got to move on, but I'll just say this. Due to this guy's history of making other racially insensitive statements, I don't think he was picked and said this as a surprise. I kind of think he was picked because he was more likely than not to say this stuff. It just didn't go well, so now they got to try to retract it because it might turn into a really bad case of an October surprise. But I think he was deliberately handpicked because he says controversial shit like this. Last word on you.
Well, I'll say this. I think that this is not going to completely tank Trump's campaign. I think the best thing Trump can do is just say, listen, I don't support everything that Tony Hinchcliffe said. I support comedy, but this was my rally, and it wasn't meant to be that way.
And if he doesn't apologize or say anything at all, what is he saying?
Say what?
And if Trump doesn't say anything personally, does not address this at all, how do people view it?
I think that they should view it as him trying to memory hole the whole thing.
What the fuck is that? Memory hole. What is that?
It just means it's a Gen Z way of saying to get it. Hopefully, everyone just forgets about it. That's what I mean.
All right, fair enough, Jeremy. Good luck with that last one. I got to move it on. Thanks for coming through as always. Pleasure.
Absolutely, Tim. Love you very much.
Appreciate it. By the way, folks, now that the program is in full swing, let me go ahead and give the typical spiel before I go to the comment section in the box. We are a free speech program. We are MAGA friendly. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program always. We'll hear every day until election day. This is civilized, uncensored dialogue from all sides of the aisle. So you're going to hear things here you favor and things that you may vehemently disagree with. We go left of Bernie Sanders to him having dinner with Q. Everybody gets to speak here. So this might be somewhat a bit atypical for the programs you typically hear. They should apologize for calling that a Nazi rally, says Richard Dunhill. Tim Walsh made that statement. I think Hillary Clinton did as well. Richard, after what took place, now they were calling it that kind of rally before it happened. And I understand your point, say they should apologize for calling it some type of rally of Third Reich. But after what actually took place, where they're calling Hillary Clinton, not Hillary Clinton, but Kamala Harris, the devil and the Antichrist, it has similarities to the damn rally. So any apology that you are requesting, you think the Democrats are going to apologize for referring to a rally in any way, shape, or form where their Democratic candidate for president was called the Antichrist? Someone suggested that she has a pimp, indicating that Kamala Harris is a prostitute. You really think they're going to apologize for that shit? All right, man. All right, looking in the comments, Tim, don't be a putz. OG, do. Please state in the comments, how am I being a put? How am I being a put? Puerto Ricans for Trump, says Erzo and Jesse. I'd be curious. I'd be curious on that one. Garbage Let me see some Puerto Ricans remember when Hillary Clinton referred to a lot of Trump supporters as deplorables? What I want to see is a bunch of Puerto Ricans with shirts on that says garbage on the front. That's what I want to see. Then I'll know you are true, genuine, absolute MAGA. Puerto Ricans with the term garbage right across the breast. All right, going back to the box, tap the screen, by the way. Get the likes up to about 25,000. We got over 800 of you folks in here. We don't block, ban, or censor. I tried We the People. We'll try it again. Good evening. Welcome to the program. I think I found my Halloween costume, a trash can with the Puerto Rican flag. Oh my God, at least they ain't dressing as the Klan no more. You can have that. We the People, good evening.
Going.
I'm hanging around like Mike Pence on January 6th. You know what I always say. So what do you think about what took place at the rally there in Madison Square Garden yesterday?
So I think it was a poorly timed joke. and it wasn't funny. A lot of people didn't think it was funny, but a lot of Puerto Ricans have also came out and said it doesn't change their opinion of voting for Trump, because they're not going to let a mistaken joke at that time sway what they believe in, and that they want a better foundation of a country.
Yeah, and I can understand wanting a better foundation of the country, but I mean, they certainly want a better foundation for this country than Puerto Rico, because it sounds like they believe it's garbage. Why isn't there more outrage on the right? They're saying, yeah, that the joke is poorly timed, but remember when Kathy Griffin held up the severed head of Trump? You didn't hear a lot of folks on the right say, well, that's a comedian. That's what they do. They make jokes. They were pissed off about that. Why isn't the right very angry about this? They're just trying to defend Trump, but they're not really that critical of this.
I believe that's comparing apples to oranges, though, because she had a severed head of Trump, and he was the acting president, and that is an act of violence. That is showing for her to take his life and hold his severed head up. Where this was a joke.
Wait a minute. Let me. I'll let you continue. I'll let you continue. But saying it's a joke, I guess the question would be, who would laugh at calling the nation of Puerto Rico garbage? Who finds that funny?
And that's what I said. It was a poorly, horrendous joke that shouldn't have been said.
Okay, so Kathy Griffin thought that was a joke.
Yeah, but you have to have common sense in that, and you have to know that if you hold up a severed head of the president of the United States, you're displaying something of your more than your feelings and your actions. You're saying that you want him dead. Just like when Madonna came out and said that she wanted to blow up the White House with him in it. That is an act of terrorism against a commander-in-chief.
I don't disagree with that, but you're calling an entire nation of American citizens garbage. This isn't calling North Korea or someplace you're at an American rally calling literally millions of Americans garbage. That's the joke.
Yeah. And I'm like I said, I didn't find it funny or anything like that. I think it was poorly timed. I think that when the Trump campaign came out and said, hey, they kind of displayed themselves and backed away from it. Do I think that Trump should have came out and gave a little word about it and said, hey, I have no disdain for Puerto Rican Americans or anything like that? Yes, I think that would have held a little bit more water.
Now, you said poorly timed. When is the proper time to refer to Puerto Rico as garbage?
Well, if you're at a comedian show, you know what you're getting into. This comedian, he really doesn't have a political agenda like everybody else does. So he's going to say how he feels and say his jokes whenever. So that's what I'm saying. A more comedic act would have been appropriate if you're going to like a comedy club or somewhere where you're paying and you know what you're getting into.
So then I have to ask the question, where is the Republican outrage for this? For the most part, they're more outraged at the way Democrats are framing this. But I don't see a hell of a lot of Republicans really going in on this comedian for saying something against a bunch of folks that are citizens of this country. They're just pissed off. They don't like the way the Democrats, they're actually attacking the Democrats more. It's a joke, you snowflakes, you got thin skin. What about the guy who actually said it?
Well, see, I think it was what he said. It was the island of Puerto Rico. And what I think he was referring to was when Hurricane Maria came in and it caused 43 football fields worth of debris and trash to be piled up in Puerto Rico. I think that's what he was entertaining the fact of the joke. And I don't think he was directly calling Puerto Ricans trash, but he said the island of Puerto Rico, as in whenever whatever it was, the 4.3 miles worth of garbage that happened.
You really think anybody took it that way? There is an island, a floating island of garbage in the Atlantic or wherever, in the Caribbean or wherever it's at, and it's called Puerto Rico. You really think people were picking and choosing what he meant on the island that's garbage?
Well, see, and I don't know because I can't really speak for him. But I know before
he was
actually joking with Latinos in the audience, and they were going back and forth. So the video that they clipped doesn't show him before talking to other people and talking to Latinos and joking back and forth before he said that. Like I said, it wasn't really funny. He said it, and what do you do? How do you retract that? You can't, because it's already been taken and ran with. So
what? Wait. What comedian tells a joke that requires you to go back and what are you talking about? They didn't watch video of him communicating with. What comedian tells a joke that requires all of that?
Well, look at 9/11. Who was the comedian actor that made the joke about 9/11 and it was too soon? and he had to go back and retract everything.
Okay, then maybe he should have, in my opinion. But I'm trying to figure out, how do you take a comedian out of context that makes it clear he believes that the nation of Puerto Rico is a nation of garbage?
And that's what I said. I don't know how you do that.
Okay.
And that's why I'm sitting here talking with you about it. Is I'm man enough to give you my honest opinion, saying, hey, I don't know how we clarify this. I don't know how we can move forward from this from a comedic standpoint, because I'm not a comedian.
And now, referring to Kamala Harris as the Antichrist, do you see validity in that? We're not talking about politics. She's the Antichrist. She's a demon. I believe those terms were used at that same rally.
Well, just coming from me as a Christian person, whenever she talked about, when the Jesus things was happening, she said, you're at the wrong rally.
So that makes her a demon?
I don't know if it makes her a demon, but some of the political ideologies that she has.
Give me some examples. Give me some examples.
Well, just like, she comes through and she says that she's not going to do this, not going to do that, and then abortion, and then she's for it all the way up until a certain time frame.
So being in favor of a woman's right to choose up to a certain time frame makes you a demon?
Well, it's the ideology of like having the baby still alive and putting them in a comfortable spot, and then the mother choosing at that point after the baby's already been given birth. Like West Virginia, the former governor.
We're not talking about the governor of West Virginia. We're talking about, but is there record of Kamala Harris herself being in favor of allowing a woman to give birth, putting the baby to the side, as Trump says, and her and the doctor deciding whether or not to execute it? Is there actual evidence where Kamala Harris is in favor of that?
I can't say for sure Kamala Harris, but I know her running mate Tim Walz is for it.
Okay, but that's her running mate. Trump's running mate says he lost the 2020 election. Are we going by running mates? What I'm asking you is this: what defines Kamala Harris as the Antichrist, as a demon?
I just said some of her ideologies. Just by her rhetoric and the way that she says things and does things and stuff like that. I can't personally call her Antichrist, because in the Bible it says that nobody knows Antichrist except for God.
Okay, but but you said some of her rhetoric and some of her ideology. I'm still, because like I said, when you're talking about putting the baby to the side, you're not for certain she's for that. So I'm asking, what ideology? What is she saying that would even make her in the same conversation as somebody that's a demon or the Antichrist?
Well, I believe, in my opinion, that if you murder a baby by abortion, that does make you demonic, because you're taking a life away. Because that is a precious life that we get from God, and by you choosing to kill it, besides rape, incest, or something like that, then that's demonic. So
you see any woman that terminates a pregnancy as an elective. Not because she was raped, but just, I don't want to have a baby. You see all of those women as demonic.
Yes, because you're taking a life.
Okay.
Because you chose to have sex, and there's so many preventatives, and same for guys, there's preventatives for men to have that would prevent having a baby as well. Such as condoms, vasectomy, stuff like that.
All right, well, you did it. Regardless of the fact we disagree, you did explain it. I mean, based on that notion, if you believe any woman having an abortion qualifies as demonic or a demon, then okay, fair enough. I mean, that's going to literally be tens of millions of women, and you're walking among demons every day in this country.
Well, and that's why I always specify is if it's not incest, rape, or if it doesn't have medical issues for the mother, why the mother's going to die if they don't do a abortion, that's different. And I hold those values near to me, because you should have some leeway right there, because who wants to have a baby that they're reminded of rape all the time, or incest, or something like that, or if the mother's going to die, you gotta give.
Yeah.
But also, if you just go in to kill a baby just because you spread your legs and you didn't want it, you don't want it now because of the mistakes you made, that's not a good enough reason to kill a life.
All right, fair enough. And the whole blacks in watermelon comment, your take?
Oh, you can't say things like that. Like, I was always raised as a Southern person, is you don't judge anybody by the color of their skin. You don't point out and pick at racist things.
All right. So you do see some racial overtones to at least that one.
Oh yeah, if you don't, then you're just not opening your eyes.
Any outcry?
Stereotypical at that.
Have you heard any outcry from MAG or anybody? The fact that you're admitting some racial stuff was. Have you heard any outcry at all about this stuff?
Actually, I have a couple of guys that I know that are blacks for Trump. Actually, they said
oh yeah, it's targeting them. I mean, but have you heard it from somebody that's not black? Of course, it's targeting them.
Well, just me from my personal standpoint, yeah, because I don't think that you should be stereotypical and say stuff like that because it's not right. Because I wouldn't want somebody to come to me for me being a German American and my ancestors say, "Oh, well, this and this and this for Hitler."
Fair enough. I got to move it on. We the people. This is not our first time talking, right?
No, sir. It's second, third.
I thought I recognized the name. Appreciate you coming through. My door's always open to you, man. Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
And you too. And by the way, folks, that's how the program works. We are all about free speech. Yeah, we do push back a little bit on the comments, but we don't have to agree. That's how free speech works. It's not about agreeing or disagreeing. Real quick, I want to respond to a couple comments and ask that you tap the screen, get the likes on up to about 40,000 on TikTok. Smash that like button on YouTube. Every day till election day, we're going to be here. So if you favor this type of dialogue between all parties, we certainly entertain all conversation. Follow the program on TikTok and subscription on YouTube if you will. In the comments, Victory, if I hire a racist to work for me, I am responsible if it hurts my business. That is 100% true. That is 100% true. And particularly in the case of this comedian, because as both of my last callers just alluded to, he was known for doing this, which would lead some, including yours truly, to suggest his statements are probably less shocking because of his previous history. I tend to think he might have been hired because they expected him to be raunchy. Because of it. And of course he went too far and now it's hurting them. So now they got to come out and basically try to clear it. But I think he might have been hired because of what they expected. People harass, criticism, discriminate against fat folks all the time. When is that proper? Laura Answer, whatever the case may be, in YouTube, you're saying people harass, criticize, and discriminate against fat folks all the time. When is it proper? At a comedy show. It's proper at a comedy show. You don't go to a fucking Weight Watchers meeting and do that shit. He went to what is supposed to be a patriotic gathering between American citizens. That's not the place where you go call a bunch of American citizens garbage. He did the comparison or the comparable of going to a Weight Watchers meeting and started criticizing people and calling them all kinds of insults for being fat. A comedy show is where you do that. Continuing on with the program, it was on the teleprompter, says Takesha, which makes it worse, by the way. Appreciate seeing you there, Takesha Boy. Yeah, that makes it worse. That means somebody approved it. I'm trying my best not to go down the path of suggesting that they knew he was going to go off the deep end, expected it, and approved it anyway. I'm assuming that he did this, went rogue on his own. But if he actually is saying something that was pre-approved, then that's worse. That would be significantly worse. Let me go back to the box. Dencal. Good evening. Welcome to the program, Dencal. There you go, Dencal. Yeah. I'm assuming you've heard the comments at this rally already.
Yeah, I think I'm more appalled at your last two people getting up here. I hope they got somebody there to help them untwist themselves from the press so that they turn themselves into trying to say for somehow this was just some comedian gone rogue when we already know what he's already said about Puerto Rico when they went through the storms.
What did he say?
He was talking about the mayor and how the country, which he didn't even know that he was the president of Puerto Rico when he was talking about,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like he has no reference. He does not give two shits about Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
So I don't think like it's a stretch that they knew this guy was a bomb thrower. They allowed him to come up there because that was his New York audience. He wanted to juice his New York people, and he let it happen.
Yeah.
And that all he said afterwards was some little press clipping saying, "We don't agree with that joke." He didn't reference none of the other hateful stuff, the watermelon stuff. He didn't reference none of that stuff. It was that one joke that they said that they didn't, that they don't agree with that. What, like, they had Giuliani, like you said, they had guys up there calling her, the Antichrist and devils, and
They said she had a. They said she had a pimp, indicating she's a prostitute.
right. And then they got Stephen Miller up there talking about America is just for Americans. That was, man, that was, they had already said before this rally or whatever that it had shades of the 1930s,
Yeah.
of the same type of rally that happened in Madison Square Garden, and it lived up to and probably outshined what people were saying about
It's interesting you would say that. I had a viewer in the comment section that stated, should the Democrats be, now this is, I'm assuming, a MAGA viewer, no problem there, but he stated, should the Democrats be required to apologize for referring to that as a Nazi rally? And I said something similar. I'm like, maybe before it actually began, but now that it has happened and you got all these similarities, you kind of threw that out the window.
Yeah, they said one of the guys was like, man, they should have broadcast that thing in black and white. It would have been so apropos.
Is it simply a case of the Democrats having thin skin and not being able to take a joke, though?
Listen, man, they insulted so many different people in this country. It's hard to believe that was a rally to become the president of the United States. He literally was saying, like, all of these people combined, and I'm not saying Trump said it himself, but you know how he likes to be the producer of these big productions, and he likes to schedule it. He likes to have it coordinated like a show. So there's no way you could tell me the outcome of that show wasn't what he produced himself. He doesn't allow people. Remember when the Democrats got pissed off at the rally for Kamala Harris when Megan Thee Stallion came out, and we were just so appalled.
Yeah,
we were appalled about our own, rally. But they over there. The worst thing about it is when he said those jokes, they were in there clapping.
Yeah. Well, apparently, what I heard, I listened to it a few times, but they claim when he said that about Puerto Rico, there were boos in the audience. I can't really hear him though, but he did respond in a way that suggested he heard some boos, that joke didn't go over well.
Right. Yeah, look, we can have that conversation that there were a few scattered people that said, but then we look at a Kamala Harris rally when somebody said was screaming some stuff in the background, and she said, "You in the wrong show," and they said, "Oh, he said something about Jesus is God," and she kicked it like the devil's standard is just so enormous. And then after that, you had people like Bad Bunny, who is one of the most popular Puerto Ricans in the world. Jennifer Lopez, Mark Anthony, all of these people came out and who were keeping their mouth shut about politics. They all came out.
Well, Jennifer Lopez had previously endorsed Kamala Harris, because I looked it up for that purpose, and I found she endorsed Kamala Harris about a month or so ago. So she had already endorsed Kamala. Okay. But here's something I want to ask you. I brought this up at the beginning of the show. Biden won Pennsylvania by 81,000 votes back in 2020, and Trump won that state back in 2016 by 44,000 votes. Everybody's saying whoever wins Pennsylvania is likely to win the race. There's 600,000 Latino voters in Pennsylvania. 300,000 of them are Puerto Rican. Do you think it could make any difference? I mean, there's 300,000 Puerto Rican voters, not Puerto Ricans, Puerto Rican voters in Pennsylvania. And all the other swing states have tens of thousands of Puerto Rican voters in them as well. I would submit that if even 1/8 of these Latin voters get pissed off about this. I mean, Trump only won Pennsylvania by 44,000 votes in 2016.
Exactly, and everybody's been saying the same thing, although I don't believe it, but everybody's been saying the same thing, that everything is going to be won on the margins. If you're talking about a group of people like that with that many voters, I find it hard to believe that he just has broken off a part of that electorate that was going to vote for him. I just can't believe that all of his Puerto Rican supporters would just bypass him calling their home country, where they.
Well, he didn't do it though. I mean, as somebody typed in the comments, comedian, he didn't do it. So is it possible that the Puerto Ricans will separate Trump from the comedian that he hired and spoke before him? By the way, there was a 4-hour time difference between when that comedian said that and Trump got on stage. So plenty of time for Trump to get up there and correct it, which he did not.
Well, if those people, if those people are not just cultish, Trump people, and they can look at this stuff objectively, and they can go listen to what was said, not just to that one joke, but listen to the tenor and tone of that entire thing, where they were talking about people who resembled them. When they say America is just for America, and I'm acting like Puerto Rico is not, an American, state,
right?
It doesn't have statehood. If I can't look up that objectively as a black person and say, yeah, that he said that one joke about black people, but not listen to all of the other rhetoric that was placed in that thing and tie it together. I don't know what's the point of having a rally then.
Yeah.
What's the point of trying to separate or differentiate yourself from another campaign if your campaign is, hate speaker?
So you did see that. You did see that campaign is full of hate speech.
Oh, definitely. You listen to you. I'm talking about the tone of the people up there. They were out there like preachers. Like preachers in the pulpit. They was doing everything but the hat. They was up there saying, like calling people evil and devils, and like that was a dark rally.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I mean, with Trump selling out Madison Square Garden, which is generally considered to be a significant feat, did this help him or did it hurt him?
Who, Trump?
Yeah.
Well, it can only have one effect. That's the reason why there was even the slightest apology, because we know Trump doesn't apologize for anything.
Well, officially, he didn't apologize for this either. It came from his...
Yeah, but technically, we know
right.
If he disagreed with that apology coming out, he'd have told it to the world by now. He would have said, I didn't apologize, because that's just Trump style. If he allowed his people to put that up in front of the world, he knew it was bad.
Yeah, that's a good point. So at the end of the day, calling the nation garbage, I mean, I'm assuming if you were Puerto Rican, this would affect you.
Oh, for sure. I mean, just like the watermelon joke is. Like, I mean, it's only said to induce a certain type of reaction, because there's nothing that says that black people like watermelon more than white people. Like that.
I personally do not like watermelon. I may have had a slice when I was a kid once. I don't like it. I've never eaten it.
Thing. We don't go to the fruit market with our parents. Like, get some water. Like, that's not what we do.
It's racist. All right, Dick Cal.
That's it.
It's racist as fuck. Dick Cal, appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you.
All right, man. Go Kamala Harris and Walls 2024.
I don't know. I still got a lot of Puerto Ricans like, I don't care. I want a good economy, so I'm not for sure of that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
All right. Appreciate it. And moving on with the program, I'm battling you get the migraine. I once the show started, I got one. You got the freaking flashes going down your ass. I'm gonna try to make this work. I may have to end this live early because I don't get these very often, but I certainly don't have the pain, but I got the flashes in the light. I really hate this. Looking in the comments, And it may affect my damn vision, because you know how you get these flat. I see in the comments, water under the bridge. I'm not even going to put my glasses on to read the name, but you believe what happened at the rally is water under the bridge. I don't know. If he's apologizing, it's probably more than just water under the bridge. I mean, the fact that, as my last caller rightfully pointed out, the fact that he's apologizing for it says a lot. Walsh is a freak. Tim Walsh, Kay says Tim Walsh is a freak. He's a VP. I don't think the VPs make a big difference. The Democrats had a lot to say about Mike Pence when he ran. I don't remember the Republicans saying hardly anything about Kamala Harris when Biden was right. The VP is the VP. Why have a VP then? Well, something happens to you. You got to have somebody to replace him. But you make a good point. You make a good point. The VP should be discussed more. But at the end of the day, the VP is just... Wasn't it Trump who was asked about his pick of J.D. Vance, and Trump even came out and said himself the vice president doesn't matter? Didn't Trump say that about his own VP, J.D. Vance? He said that. A better economy is not going to come from Trump. Tariffs are only going to increase inflation. Domestic prices will go up. Mark Cuban is saying that too, Brewster. Mark Cuban from Shark Tank, he's saying the same thing. But a lot of folks believe that Trump will get the economy back on track. I had somebody get pissed off at me for something I was discussing, and they brought up, Trump gave everybody $1,000 in stimulus checks. What the hell has Biden done for you? I couldn't believe it. He was actually giving Trump credit for the stimulus checks personally and suggesting that Biden didn't give anybody anything. Mr. Splackville says Trump rallies equal Klan rallies with minorities attending. Damn, if that's the case, I hope it ain't that bad, but if that's the case, you're really pointing out how bad it looks for minorities to be in the building. And that would be something worthy of discussing. You got a comedian on stage making jokes about eating watermelon, and you sit next to a black, let's say you're white, or you're sitting next to a black dude, like, you find this funny? I mean, he's talking about people that look like you. Because when Trump tweeted out the white guy at the Villages yelling white power some years ago, Tim Scott asked him to take that down. Even Tim Scott realized this ain't cool. And Tim Scott's obviously a big Trump fan. Let me go back to the box. After asking you to tap the screen, I'm working on this through a migraine, or at least the flashes of one. Get your boy up to about 50,000. We can make that happen. 50, F-I-D-D-Y. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 50,000. Show the program some support. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. You must not know what price gouging is, says the thrifty Jew. Yeah, dude. Perfect example. A hurricane's coming to Florida. People need to board up their windows to protect from the storm. And suddenly the price of lumber skyrockets for no other reason than I know a lot of people are coming to buy it. That's price gouging. Seizing on an opportunity to just charge people a bunch of money when there's no legitimate need to do it. It's going to be a huge demand for this. I got the supply, so I'm just going to charge people more. That's price gouging. That's it. That's all it is. These people are crazy thinking Trump gave them money. Did the stimulus come from his pocket or our taxes? Ingrid, I think the guy who said that believes it came from his pocket. Shout out to former President Trump for pausing the distribution of those checks so he could indeed sign it. It has turned into political capital for him. There are voters that believe because his signature was on those checks, it came out of his pocket. Can you imagine how much it would cost to give every American like $1,000, $2,000, $2,000? You got the man out there with people bitching that he don't even pay his lawyers and contractors, but he's just gonna give strangers each $1,000 a piece. People believe that. Going back to the box, it's Congress, because those people are obviously never took a civics class, which we need to bring back into schools. Well, we probably could teach our children a little bit more about finances. Continuing on, Takesha Bowie, welcome. I see Michael. Takesha Bowie, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Handsome.
Yes.
Stop giving Donald Trump credit for this, for making the American people deluded. Don't do that no more.
Well, that's kind of
You
what.
said, well, no, we're not going to shout out nobody who deliberately make a fool out of these people. We're not going to do that, Handsome. Stop doing that now. You're back to make me mad with that nonsense.
No, he signed the checks.
That's just like saying, shout out to the thief that stole my car. He did a wonderful job. Come on,
Oh. Well, the man signed the checks. His voters believe the money came from him.
I wouldn't give a damn. I wouldn't give a damn. Melania took the pen, put it in his hand, and signed it with her own ability. Stop it, okay? No. Cut the crap. Now listen. There was a Klan rally, and everything that man said had to be approved, and they put it into the teleprompter, so they knew exactly what he was going to say. The only reason the campaign trying to separate themselves because they saw the backlash. When they let Trump go on the show and they asked him, how do you feel about what the comedian said? Well, I really wasn't paying attention because I was in the back. I'd have to listen to it and give you my opinion later. He ain't going to come out and say, I thought it was terrible. He's not going to do that. That's number one, because that's not what he does. When has he ever apologized for anything?
And he raised a good point about him never apologizing, which I was going to mention, that even if he apologizes at this point, would people accept it or view it as authentic because it's something he don't normally do?
He's not going to apologize. He was probably in the back changing his diaper from laughing at the jokes from wetting himself. I'm trying to tell you. Check this out. The reason it was a sad situation is because the comedian didn't say anything about white people.
Yeah.
Where was the jokes for the white people?
I don't think it's...
There are things that are funny about white people. Why he didn't make jokes about white people?
So it was indeed racist to you.
It was racist, because if it wasn't, he would have made jokes about white people as well. Where were the white jokes, Handsome?
Well, somebody in the comments on YouTube is saying he did. What did he say? I don't
what did he say, damn it?
Yeah,
what did he say about white people?
I don't think he said anything.
He said a damn thing about white people. I want them to quit making up shit.
Yeah,
The man was a racist. They knew what he was going to say because it was loaded to a teleprompter. Just because it backfired, you cannot come out now and diss yourself.
But I got Uncle Neil on YouTube suggesting that liberals are just so thin-skinned. Is it a case of us just simply being unable to take a joke?
I wouldn't give a mammoth fuck what he said. I'm going to say it again. You don't talk about other races and don't include your own. That makes you a racist. Yes, it pissed us off. Stop talking about us and trying to put us at the bottom of the barrel. Dr. Phil, missing her ass, stood on that stage and tried to make it seem like Kamala was a DEI hire. Then he turned around and said, this country was built off the backs of who? Us. But did he give us our credit? No, he did not. Oprah Winfrey should have showed up on the stage and slapped him to the floor and put him back where he was before she got him in the spotlight. Under her feet.
Dr. Phil said that?
Yeah.
Damn.
Did you not watch it?
I watched a lot of it. I didn't watch 100% of it.
Did you not watch it?
I watched a lot of it.
Yeah, that's the problem with you and me. See, the problem with me and you is this. You don't never watch 100% of what you need to watch 100% of. But you sit there with your Orville Redenbacher and your Diet Coke in front of Fox News. I'm sick of you, Hanson.
I like Fox News. I like Fox.
For what? They lie.
Well, every media outlet.
Hold on. They give you half of the story. You end up not knowing the other half, which somebody got to come and tell you about. Then you say, I got to go read it. Then you find out we ain't lying. Stop watching Fox News. They are not the truth. They are not the truth news station anymore. They don't have no kind of accuracy. All they do is down black people, down brown people, and they never say too much bad about their own.
So what do you say, Fox? What do you say, Fox News is racist too?
They racist as hell. I got two friends that work for them. They racist as hell.
Now, David Norwood on YouTube is listening to you, and he says too many blacks cry too much. Are you crying?
Motherfucker, ain't a tear coming out my eye.
Well, he's saying that blacks...
Listen, Handsome, not even the one teardrop that that what Johnny Depp cried when he went to jail on that movie Cry Baby. I ain't cried now, damn tear.
Yeah. Let's see the comments.
Damn.
So it's not a case of us being too thin-skinned. Now, let me ask you this, though. You said it's like a Klan rally. What makes you say something so inflammatory?
Because there was so much racist things said. Tucker Carlson was racist and disrespectful. The man that said about Rudy Giuliani was racist. Just about everybody that got up there, honestly, was racist. Stop it, handsome. Go back and look at the entire Klan rally, and you'll see exactly what people are talking about. You know who foolish though?
Who?
Rudy Giuliani. This man owe you money. You over here dead broke, and you still on the stage simply for Donald Trump. You got to be the dumbest man in America.
I disagree. I'll tell you something. If Trump gets reelected, Rudolph Giuliani's life is going to be changed for the better.
He's not going to get elected.
Okay, maybe not. But if
he's not going to get reelected.
But that's his only hope,
Takesha. Handsome, I don't care what you said. Mark my words. I want you to hold me to this. Trump is not getting back in that office.
Scale of 1 to 10. How 10 being Kamala Harris will win guaranteed. Scale of, how confident
10.
You feel? 10?
10.
Really?
10. 20. 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 100. I'm just as sure as I was fine on my birthday.
Why so confident?
Yes.
Why so confident?
Listen, I don't know what it is, handsome, but I just believe. Let me say this. I don't think the polls is close as they say it is. I think they're saying it so that we can make sure we still go out and vote. I just have never believed that he was going to beat her. Trump know he's already lost. That's why he went on there at the Klan rally out last night. That's what it was.
All right.
You can tell when people are fearful that they've lost, they start attacking. You know, the attacks that he's making now is just over the damn top, handsome. Mark my words. I want you to call me the day after the election. I'm gonna say, handsome. What did I tell you?
You gonna be handsome?
My
you might. I hate to call you be in tears. You know, with wearing a red hat.
I ain't gonna be in the only tears I'm gonna be crying is tears of joy.
All right, fair enough.
Where my boyfriend at?
What?
Where my boyfriend at?
Is your boyfriend MAGA?
Listen, where my sandwich man at?
Oh, you talking about Gen X? Gen X. I don't know if he's tuned in right now. We talked earlier. He'll be here.
Okay, that's my boyfriend.
Oh shit! Oh really? You got MAGA as a boyfriend?
Well, he won't be MAGA when I get through with him. Instead of saying MAGA, he gonna be saying mama.
I gotta go. Takesha, always a pleasure. Continuing on the program, let me look at I'm still battling with this. You know, you get the precursor to a migraine, so you get the flash, and my vision is like, I'm trying to make this work. I may have to step away. Ham, thank you for the support on YouTube. Harris voter here. Tony has been the number one comedy roaster for 15 years. He's always joked about himself and how people call him gay. Tony did what he does. And Ham, I think he's saying that comedian has been the number one roast writer for 15 years. And he's saying, now this is a Kamala Harris voter, claiming to be a Kamala Harris voter, saying that comedian is the number one roast writer. And he for 15 years, and he kind of just does what he does. He's saying he's self-deprecating. He says he jokes about himself and how people call him gay. Tony does what he does. If that is true, as I've been stating throughout the program, then that means he was not hired and went off the deep end. He was hired to do what he does. As Takesha, my last caller, just stated, they knew he was going to do that, and they approved him to do it. They just did not expect the political capital they were going to lose once he did it. I actually believe you're accurate with that, Ham. I do believe that guy didn't go rogue. That guy went that guy. He did what he normally does, and he was hired to do that. It just had a bad outcome. Toxin. The only white jokes I saw at Madison Square Garden event were the speakers. So the only criticism, the only jokes he saw there were the actual white people speaking. Thank you for the support, by the way, Toxin. I think that says that just the vision here. I'm trying to make it happen. I do appreciate some of you folks that are tapping the screen, showing the program some love. Trying to get up to 60,000. We can make that happen if you tap the screen. Thank you. Continuing on. Trump had one of the worst, most hateful political rallies in U.S. presidential history. Bam. Bam. All right, going back to the box. I don't know what I just did there. Michael, good evening. Welcome to the program. Wow. It is going to be one of the most memorable. Michael, good evening.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, did you see the rally?
Yeah, I saw parts of it. I didn't really need to watch it to know what it was going to be. Right? I didn't have to watch. I didn't have to watch another episode of the Trump racist train to know where the destination was going to be.
Wow.
I didn't have to watch it. This is what I was telling you about last time I was on, and I'll say it again. All these Trump supporters, there is nothing that can happen in his orbit that they won't make an excuse for. Nothing. I told you that the last time. Now I'm saying it right now. If the people around you know who you are, even when people say Trump didn't say it, he said it. If the people around you know who you are, what you will accept and what you will not accept, they will typically fall in line accordingly. So if that was something that Trump would have been against, it never would have been said.
True. That is true.
That's just how life works. That's just, if anybody knows you well, Tim, and they know what can trigger you, and I came around and said something that you didn't even hear, they might say, hey, you might want to, because Tim, that's not, you got to be, that's human nature. But here's what else is human nature. What else is human nature is for all of these Trump supporters to continue to downplay every racist thing that happens in his orbit. That's what they do. They've been doing it. Nothing, you called him Teflon, nothing sticks because they don't want it to. And they don't want it to stick because they have to come to their own conclusions about who the fuck they are and what they accept. That's what this is. I told you last time. If you support Trump, you support racism, misogyny, you support all that shit. And for anybody to say that's not true, then prove it. Then step up and say that wasn't right and it impacts me. But it doesn't, because even the Puerto Ricans that support him, it tells you what lack of confidence they have in their own self-dignity.
What about his saying what lack of confidence they might have in Kamala Harris? I mean, if he is as bad as you say he is, why is he doing better with people of color? I'm talking about blacks, I'm talking about Hispanics. He's doing better with people of color than all of his Republican predecessors like Romney, McCain, and Bush's. Trump's support from people of color continues to climb. If he is as bad as you're saying, why is that?
There's a collection of ignorance out there. There's a collection of people that just read or filter through what's in front of them and they do no research. Right? Now, listen, I'm going to say it like this. I don't give a damn what minority is supporting him. They all should be, every last one of them should be ashamed of themselves, because there's not a policy that should come before your character or who you are as an individual. When I hear Puerto Ricans and Hispanics supporting him, but he can stand on that stage and say the largest mass deportation in the history of the country, taking us back to 1798, and you still vote on him, well, maybe you should be fucking deported, you idiot. It makes no sense. Listen, sometimes you got to meet force with force, and if they want to say that, fine. You don't speak for me, but when I hear somebody it doesn't matter. See, I know he made the watermelon comment. Yeah. I get that. Everything that happened should have been expected. And there is nobody on that stage or in that crowd, because they went there for a reason. They went specifically there for a reason. It was already in Project 2025 any fucking way. If you read Project 2025, you already know where they're going. They've been talking about this forever. They wanted to match that rally they had back when the Smachis were there. They knew what they were doing. All this shit is calculated. And the fact that people don't want to say it, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say exactly what it is, call it what it is, and if you support him, you are that thing. Period, full stop. Wow. Now, you can say, I'm not racist. Well, you know what? You're okay with it. You're willing to look the other way because you don't believe it will affect you until it does. Any woman voting for him with all the women's rights on the line right now, you're just as guilty. Any minority, your ass is just as guilty too. Any Trump supporter that doesn't think that they're that person, I'm here to tell you, you are that motherfucking person. And stop dancing around it, put your racist skates on, and get your ass in the ring, or step out and call it what it is. It's bullshit, it's racist, it's misogynistic, and it's not bringing people together.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, when you look at the polls, it looks like close to half of this country supports Kamala and close to half of this country supports President Trump. If Trump is as racist as some of these other words, misogynistic and sexist as you're saying, the question should be, is really that large of a portion of this country racist?
Yes. I'll say it. Yes. I'll say it like Eddie Murphy. Yes. I'll put an extra S on it. Yes.
Wow.
100%. Nobody wants to say it. I'll say it. If you vote with him knowing what you know, it's not like you don't know. You know, you just decide, like I just told you, Tim, it's either ignorance, you're a racist, or you're a sympathizer of that shit. There's no other gaps.
Yeah, there could be. What about the notion that I strongly believe Trump is better for the economy, will end some of these wars, and I'm not really focused on the rest of that shit. I just want to be able to afford to feed my family.
Are you? So again, I will go back to this. If you're saying that that's more important than your civil rights, if you're saying that eggs being $5 instead of $3, if you believe that, are more important than women's rights, if you're saying that that's just more important than you being stop and frisk and no immunity, if you're saying that, then it tells me who you are. You give a fuck about $3, and guess what? If they do what they want to do, you won't even get to spend that shit. So anybody that's just leaning that way, or they're not paying attention, Tim, I don't believe that when people apply policy, it gives them a soft landing for their true beliefs. It just gives them a soft landing, because you could not tell me there's no policy more important than my daughter's autonomy over their body. Not one. Yeah. Not one. There's no policy more important than protecting minorities in this country from this bullshit. Not one. I don't give a shit. And if anybody wants to that means they don't care about it, because it doesn't impact them.
Now, I got individuals in the comments. Look Around You says he needs to stop listening to the fake CNN. Is all of these claims that Trump is a racist, is it because it's media driven? Maybe the guy is a decent dude and the media is telling you to think this way about him?
No, see, here's the thing about people like that. I'm not listening to anybody but Trump and J.D. Vance and the things that they say. I'm researching the things that they do. See, that person that you just said that is watching Newsmax and Fox and that shit. Because if you pay attention, he is a perfect example, or she, of what I'm talking about. They don't want to face the person they're supporting and look themselves in the mirror, because they won't like what the fuck they see. So they focus on everyone else's mirror. Get your ass in front of a mirror and say to yourself, I'm voting for this racist, misogynistic, 34-time convicted felon, rapist, and I don't care, because what he's saying doesn't impact me. Say it with your chest, stand 10 toes down on it, but don't tell me that I'm seeing shit wrong, because what that person that just said that doesn't. And listen, Tim, at the end of the day, I told you this last time I came on, this is not the time to not know what the fuck you're talking about. This is not the time. We keep excusing this shit. We keep going, oh, it was just a joke. It's a rally full of his supporters making all these racist insults and jokes, and we're supposed to just act like, well, that's just being them. You're right. That is them being them. So when we see what it is, if it's a duck, then it's a fucking duck.
All right, Michael. Strong lane. A lot of folks, I got my MAGA on YouTube, and most of my folks on TikTok are more left-leaning. A lot of folks seem to think the media is what's causing people to think this way. I agree with you. Sometimes you got to listen to the man himself and judge from that, but I don't know why so many folks believe it's the media.
But check this out. Who owns True Social? Isn't that a media outlet?
Yeah.
Who owns X? Isn't that a media outlet?
That is true.
What about so it's so funny when they say the media, guess who the fuck they listening to? That far right bullshit media that doesn't care about anybody but themselves. But you know what? They say they care about this country, but if they would have saw a text or a phone call and found out that Kamala gave Putin 2 COVID machines, they'd be calling her a traitor and everything under the sun.
Yeah.
They're calling her that shit now, and she hasn't done any of that.
Should they call her a prostitute and say she got a pimp?
Now
Michael,
listen.
I got to go. Last word, I give it to you.
Calling her, and see, that's what I'm talking about. But they see no problem with that. They see no problem with calling her a prostitute. But Trump's wife can be in penthouse showing her titties and ass, but nobody says anything about that. You understand what I'm saying? And here's the funny part. She's an immigrant too. So what are we truly talking about? That's what I'm telling you, Tim. Everybody is talking all this fuckery. It is what it is. It is what it is. Call it what it is, and quit dancing around. And people don't got to go home and sleep with themselves. I don't have to sleep with them.
He could be the nation's 47th president. Mike, appreciate you for coming through.
He's still an asshole.
Gotta go. Appreciate it. All right, let me see if I can make it work. I'm really dealing with this shit. He heard someone talk about the Nazi rally. He's parroting. I don't know what you mean by that, Jeanette. The caller, if he loves his daughter, he should not vote for someone who will let men in her bathroom and locker room. I don't know. You got the K Codes. Shout out to all my female MAGA. You keep hearing the liberals are the ones that are going to come out in strong supply for the left, but I get a lot of female MAGA, female Republicans on the program. But women are at odds about the notion of being, denied women's rights, women's health care. You think that a transgender entering the bathroom is going to be a bigger concern to them than potentially needing to have a pregnancy terminated and being denied with all the medical costs that could come along? And when I say cost, I mean they could lose their life. And I don't know. Here's the issue about that. Now, I'm 6'6", 300 pounds. I'd make the ugliest woman you've ever seen. But if I walk my big ass in the female's bathroom with a wig on, does that really hurt the women that bad? I mean, I go to the men's bathroom every damn day. I don't ever see dicks in there. It's not like people's genitalia is hanging out. Why do people think the transgender community is going to go in the bathroom on this spying mission like they're seeking to assault or hurt children? That doesn't, I mean, where are all of the cases of transgender members of the LGBT community going and hurting kids? Why do we keep assuming that transgender folks and members of that community are pedophiles or looking to assault people? I've said it before in this program numerous times. If you are concerned about having your child around a member of the LGBT community, but you send them to church on Sunday, you got things backwards. There's like about a century of documented abuse of the church abusing children. Mormons, Catholics, you name. There's not a lot of abuse of children from the LGBT community. Keep them away from the LGBT community, but I want to send them to church. I think you're doing an injustice to your child with that backwards mindset. Looking in the comments, this guy is everything he pretends to be outraged about. You need to make like Michael Jackson and start with the man in the mirror. I'm always a fan of criticism, disagree with all of that, but at the end of the day, you have the right to criticize anybody on the program, including the host. I run an uncensored program. Left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. Everybody gets to speak. And no problem. I do have thick skin. But I do believe, while I am 100% in favor of free speech, I do believe it comes with consequences. I've said that about Trump. Say whatever the hell you want. You can tweet out what you want, but you can't expect to say stuff without consequence. And that's been the challenge to former President Trump and MAGA from day one, is that we want him to be able to go after the people, that are doing wrong and drain the swamp, but we don't want anyone to attack him back. Doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. I've seen holding on, going to the box, love to cruise. My sentiments exactly. Good evening, love to cruise. Kamala has caused more, Kamala has caused more damage to black men. Really? Fresh Prince of Memphis. How has Kamala caused more damage to black men than who else? Love to cruise, good evening.
How you doing?
Handsome, what's going on?
It's all good. What am I getting wrong here? Folks are suggesting that there was a lot of racial overtones at Trump's rally yesterday. What say you?
Absolutely. Them lying ass, some of them megas lying and racist. Yeah, there was a lot. And the thing is, they can't handle it. You know, they listen to this dude, Trump, and all he does is lie, lie, lie. That's what's throwing me off, is morality in this lying. You know, you sit up here talking about the economy, you're doing this, but you're selling $1,000, $100,000 watches, tennis shoes, Bibles in a bad economy. Now, help me make sense of that.
Yeah, but that doesn't make him a liar. You said he lies a lot. Where's the lies at?
Yeah, he says the economy is bad, but you're putting all this stuff out to sell. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you said maybe a week or something ago that he sold like $500 million worth of stuff in a bad economy.
Yeah.
And that's just, you know, how do you do that in a bad economy? And all these other people, Jimmy Joe and Mary Lou, they just swallow that up. But they don't realize how much lying he's doing to them. And at the rally, that's all you're going to attack this woman, call her all these names, a prostitute and everything. Where does that have anything to do with politics?
Well, they're trying to, in a horribly roundabout way, they're trying to suggest that Kamala Harris is just simply bad for America and she'd make a horrible commander-in-chief. The terminology is what we're discussing, but they do believe that Kamala Harris would be fundamentally destructive for this country.
Did you? I heard you say you didn't watch it, but have you seen that rally, man? It is dark there, man. This is like, I mean, it was pitiful. You comparing rallies. When you go to like a Camilla rally, it's lit up. You know, they're having fun.
Oh, you said it was dark. You mean physically dark?
I mean, physically dark there.
Well, you know, Joe Biden had a speech once. Two Marines on each side. It was red lighting, and he was saying all kinds of awful things about MAGA. So the Democrats do some stuff like that too, don't they?
Well, I haven't noticed it. Maybe I need to start paying more attention.
All right.
I could be wrong, but I do know yesterday that thing was dark. You know,
yeah.
Medieval type of dark.
So what do you think a second term of Trump would really be like? I mean, we had a good economy, many would say.
You know, the second term of Trump would be rough. It really, there's like I said, all the guardrails are gone. He put all his people, and I got to tell you, I have an opinion, and it might be a little controversial. Trump is a puppet.
What? Hold on, before you finish that, and by the way, folks, tap the screen. I'm trying to get on up to 100,000. We're getting close. Smash that like button on YouTube. Get us up to about 70. We can certainly do that. But yeah, tap the screen, show the program some love. This is uncensored dialogue. Now, you got to explain it. You're saying Trump, of all people, is a puppet. I've never heard that.
I believe his only goal is to become a dictator. All this other stuff is Elon Musk and was it Steve Miller, the author of the Project 25? And I think once he gets in office, they're going to be the ones that take over the country. He owes everybody. He's selling his soul. He's selling the United States down for all these billionaires. And they're not going to do this for free. He has to answer to them. All these campaign contributions and everything they're making, Elon Musk, you think he's doing this for free? No.
Wow.
They're going to be the ones running the country, not him.
So you think Trump's only goal is to stay out of prison and then return those favors?
Exactly. He's going to have to. You know how the talk went. Look, if you're a billionaire and he has all you guys, like, I'm going to do taxes, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and just give it to my campaign. And we're going to take all the restrictions off and all this. Now, if you don't do it, all these billionaires, and Trump ain't the smartest dude. You know what I mean? He's doing the presidency just exactly how he does the property in New York, where it carries your name, but you're not the owner.
So it sounds like you're basically saying that Trump's goal is to ultimately sell us out to the highest bidder.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you respond to folks who might suggest, though, we had 4 years of Trump before, he led the country fairly well, and he didn't do all of that? Why would we say he's going to do it now?
Well, back then you had the generals and people he put in power in his administration that were really holding them back. And if you listen to a few of the generals that talk, they mention that. Now, he's putting all these other people in there where there are no guardrail. Everybody's laughing at J.D. Vance, but he's going to be the mastermind behind everything.
J.D., yeah, come on, I don't know. So, I mean,
Trump didn't even want him in there.
I think we're...
As a vice president. The man, J.D. Vance, just talked about Trump years ago, how a slime ball and this and that he was.
Yeah.
Now, when have you ever known Trump to forgive somebody that he had a confrontation with?
Well, he's forgiven Mark Rubio, Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, not Mitt Romney,
Lindsey Graham kissed the ring.
Ron DeSanctimonious, Bird Brain, Nikki Haley. He's forgiven a few people.
All them kissed the ring.
Well, yeah, you got to kiss the ring. You got to kiss the ring, though.
Yeah, but J.D. Vance isn't. He's with Steve Miller. And that's who got him in there.
So what are we looking at if Trump gets back in office? I mean, based on what you're saying, who the hell's going to run the country? You're basically saying it ain't going to be Trump.
No, it's not going to be Trump. He didn't run the country last time. He was at the golf course all the time. The man didn't even read the reports in the morning. You know?
If he is as bad as you're suggesting, why the hell do so many folks favor him? Even people love Trump. I'd submit this to you. The Trump supporters love him a hell of a lot more than the Kamala Harris supporters love her. Why is that?
It's easy to sell a dream. He's selling them a dream.
Okay.
He's not gonna come through with it, but he's selling them a dream. And they're sucking it up.
Well, it may end up with him. It may end up with him ultimately in the White House again. I gotta move it on there, Letter Cruz, but
God help us all.
Well, some would say people could actually feed their family and pay for groceries again. People are expecting a much better economy with a second coming of Trump.
Come on now. You look at the economy now compared to the economy then, and the economy is better now.
You think the Biden economy is better than the Trump economy?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely, yes. He didn't, when Trump first took office, we were coming off of Obama's economy, and things were good. I'll tell you what, I bet you my last dollar, if there is some way that we can look at Trump's portfolio of stocks and bonds, I bet you he made more money with Biden than he did with his own presidency.
Oh, you think, well, MAGA merchandise has made a killing for him.
Well, I'm just talking about stocks and bonds. I'm talking about the stock market. He can say what he wants to say, but his stocks, whatever he's invested in, I bet you it grew more than it did when he was president. His own portfolio. But he has the money, but guess what? Like everybody else, he doesn't have the power. All these rich guys want power. Possible.
I mean, because the wealthy has done fairly well during the Biden administration. It's us regular folks that are ones that are struggling. But yeah, the wealthy's been doing pretty good, certainly toward the end of the Biden administration. So you might be right about that at Trump's level. You might actually be right about that. I got to move it on, Letter Cruz.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Yeah, I actually think he might be right about that for the folks, because they're enjoying the Trump's tax cuts where you and I are dealing with the fact that they're going to, the expiration and all of that. He might be right about that. Look at your 401k, and that's a good point too. Trump wants unfeeling praise. I think that's true. I think Trump does feed off of praise. I think, didn't he get caught on a hot mic suggesting that he wants to be just like I think it was North Korea or somewhere, where people get up and stand up and applause. And he said, I want my people to do that too. He does like that. He does like that. I mean, hell, I might like it too if I was in this position, but he does like that. I think the only issue is, though, because we know with Trump, flattery will get you everywhere. Some view it as a potential weakness because he comes across as a man that can be manipulated by flattery. Like somebody, listen, I read about this in a book. I ain't saying this based on my own life. Read about it in a book. But you go to a strip club and the strippers know they can get bigger tips through flattery. I read about that in the book. It's not based on anything real. Looking in the comments, Trump also wants to cut taxing on Social Security. He said in his speech yesterday or today, yeah, he has been talking about that. And that's not been very popular. Appreciate the the elephant truck. Thank you there, Grumpy Granny. Thank you very much. Speaking of which, going back to the box, we'll bring it up with Grumpy Granny. Now, Grumpy, did you see the rally yesterday?
Hello, how you doing,
Pam? I'm doing good. Did it bring out any grumpiness in you?
Oh, yeah. That was 100% a Klan rally.
Damn.
Yes, 100%. And the reason why I say that is because if you've ever went on to any of my lives, I go on there and I say all the time that neither Trump or Harris are going to win the election. Everybody is going to write my name in on the ballot. I'm going to be your 47th president of the United States. Now, mind you, did I get an invite to Trump's rally? No. They go through scrutiny as to who they're going to bring into their rallies. They don't just bring any Tom, Dick, or Harry into their rallies. The stuff he read off was on the teleprompter. They approved that. They knew what he was going to say before he ever said it. They can't say he was rogue. Now, if he would have had that stuff on the teleprompter and he went completely off the teleprompter and went, even further than he did, then they could say he was rogue. Yeah. Trump also, you said that there was like a 4-hour time difference between when he was on there. Trump could have came out there and said, hey, it does not stand for what I stand for. Not in any way, shape, or form. He didn't. He said absolutely nothing about it, And to this day, he's still, to this day, it's only the next day.
Right.
He could have after even came out onto social media and said, hey, this was a guy that went rogue. He did this, he did that. No, it was the campaign managers that did this, his press that did this. He didn't say, oh, I want you to do this. At no point. They're just trying to clean up after what he wanted.
But is it a case of maybe the liberals are just too thin-skinned? I mean, at the end of the day, this was a comedian. His job is to tell jokes. Now, the jokes are clearly in poor taste, but is it something that maybe the Democrats should let roll off their back?
Absolutely not. I mean, let's look at the facts. He did the trash remark about Puerto Rico, and let's see. Trump goes, oh, I talked to the president of Puerto Rico, and he said that they wanted paper towels. That's why I was throwing the paper towels out. Who's the president of Puerto Rico?
Him. He is.
Exactly. So he talked to himself and said, oh, yeah, they need paper towels here. And then the watermelon joke. I mean, that was clearly directed. It was all racial, every bit of it. His entire, for the most part, and like somebody else said, the only jokes at the entire rally with the white people was the white people themselves. And one of your guests was talking about how somebody threatened to or talked about blowing up the White House, and
we're talking about singer Madonna. Singer Madonna made a reference to causing harm, and Kathy Griffin held up a severed head of Trump.
Right, and they said that was treasonous, right? What would you call it when Trump is sitting there saying that he's going to completely obliterate an entire country? He's not saying, if you do this, we are going to come and we're going to launch a war against you. No, he's saying, I'm going to obliterate you. That is exactly what he said while he was in office. That is a treasonous remark.
Oh, he's saying it to some of our adversaries. He said that to...
It doesn't matter whether it's our adversaries or not. It is still a treasonous remark. When you go and threaten...
What is your definition of treason?
Because all those people don't necessarily... All right, let's put it this way. All the people here in the United States don't stand behind Trump. All of the people don't stand behind Harris. But yet, if somebody went and blew up the entire U.S., it would be a treasonous act.
Well, here's where I disagree.
Actually, more terrorism than treason, I guess, would be the proper term. It's a terrorism because
I gotta disagree.
It was a terroristic act.
In defense of Trump, he was having a back and forth, I believe, with Kim Jong-un at the time, and he said if Kim Jong-un goes too far, I'm going to be forced to obliterate the country or wipe it off the map or something like that. I don't see how treason should even be mentioned in the same sentence as that.
All right, so I misspoke there. It shouldn't be considered treasonous. It should be considered terrorist. That is a terrorist. Yes, it is. You are terrorizing the entire country because of the actions, and that is what it is. It's a terrorist act. You're threatening an entire country of obliteration, rather than saying, "Hey, we are going to. If you do this, we are going to come over there with our weapons, and we are going to fight you tooth and nail." That is acceptable or whatever. But when you threaten to blow up and eliminate an entire country, that is a terroristic act. You are terrorizing that entire nation.
I gotta actually...
Let me ask you this. Let's flip it. If Putin was to say that he was going to obliterate the United States, would you consider that terrorist act?
Yeah, but if they're going back and forth... Hold on. You got Putin and Trump arguing with each other, and Trump making it clear if things come down to it, I'm going to wipe your nation off the map. To me, Trump was defending America. I don't see no treason in that.
It's not, like I said, I misspoke that. That's not treason, because treason is basically against the United States. But it is a terrorist.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Because you're going to wipe off an entire... because, all right, you're going after, it's like what I say. If you have an issue, for example, with the government, or say the American people had an issue with the government, which we always do, you can protest, you can do what, in my opinion, you could do whatever you wanted to against the government. They're the ones that are making the rules and regulations. But we the people, us peons, we're not the ones that are actually making the rules. So why would you kill us for the actions of the military? You go after the military.
That's not how it works, though. We're grumpy. That's not, in reality, anytime there's a war, innocent people get killed. That's just how it works. If we go to war with North Korea, innocent North Koreans and innocent Americans maybe will die. That's what happens.
All right. Let me ask you this. There has been American soldiers who have went over and fought and killed women and children and have been tried and convicted for killing those women and children. Our people went overseas and was convicted of killing people, citizens. Yes, look it up. They have been convicted of war crimes for killing people, citizens. Okay. That is no different.
All right, we can agree to disagree on that. Like I said, if as far as I'm concerned, if he's telling a leader of North Korea, if you do something to harm our people, because keep in mind, North Korea doesn't target specific military targets. North Korea is the terrorism you're talking about. What they are doing is they're terrorizing Japan, they're terrorizing South Korea. So if we hit them back and we take out innocents, we are going after terrorism. That's what happens. North Korea is the terrorist in your conversation. I think Trump was just trying to defend America.
All right, and I would agree there are going to be innocent people killed, but the object in any war is to hit the points like the military, hit the military bases, hit, things that are going to hurt. But you don't go and threaten to annihilate the entire country.
All right.
That is a terroristic act.
Well, I'm just going to say this. If you're a leader of a country and you're threatening somebody and you're hoping that they respond in a way that they only hit military targets, that's irresponsible. You know when they come over here and they're trying to fight us back, you're going to lose some innocent people. Every war in existence features loss of innocent lives. That's just what happens. I got to move it on, Grumpy. Appreciate you coming in.
One
Real quick,
thing.
Go ahead.
Trump isn't a racist. He owns a black and white TV.
All right, but Grumpy, appreciate it. All right, Trump is not a racist. After all, he owns a black and white TV. Next thing you know, Trump is a terrorist because he grabbed the toilet tissue. I get you trying to be sarcastic, but I don't get it. We can't believe like everyone else. We can't be. Oh, wow. Mike, the sailor. Thank you for supporting the program. It's been dry today. Thank you for that support, Mike, the sailor. What does it say? We can't behave like everyone else. We are trying to be an example to the world. That's what they tell you. Look, our biggest trading partner is China. And we know China is a nation loaded with human rights abuses. The only reason why we trade and do business with China is because it saves a bunch of money for the oligarchs, so to speak, in America. We ain't a shining example. If we was a shining example, we wouldn't do business with people like China. And we were doing business with China when we knew they were hiring kids until it got out and, people started making a ruckus about it. But we knew that. Look, we do business with some pretty shady characters out there. So, we claim to be an example, but no. Going all the way back to the Iran-Contra scandal where we're funding both sides of a war, no. Now that you have access to the internet, you can find this stuff out. But we were brought up that we were this perfect example and everybody else is doing wrong, but we're here to play Superman and control the day. Now that you can actually find out what the hell's really going on, we're not a shining example. There's a reason why we're the richest country in the world. It ain't because everybody likes us or we're just doing really great at business, because we're behind the scenes making shit happen. Think about it. America is some way, somehow involved in just about every damn war on earth. That's not by coincidence. No other nation can say that. The wealthiest nation on earth is somehow, some way involved in just about every war on earth. Just want to point that out. Looking in the comments, follow the money. Exactly. China owns a lot of U.S. debt. Good luck getting it. It's like going and betting with a bookie. The mob, they used to have the bookies. You go bet. You take some long odds on a team that's not expected to win. Like the damn Commanders with that whole fucking Hail Mary against my Bears yesterday, winning the game. Don P. Don. Appreciate that, Don. Thank you. You take a high odd bet with a bookie. The mafia, the mob has the bookie. You bet and you win 100 to 1 odds or whatever. Maybe the guy can't pay you. Good luck getting the money. Yeah, you got a lot of debt with the mob. Good luck collecting that shit. Same with the Chinese. Yeah, they got a lot of debt with us. If for some reason, let's say you get Trump in there and they come and start calling their money due, and someone like Trump says, We can't pay you right now as a matter of national security to protect the financial security of this country. We're only going to authorize paying you, 1/100th of your debt annually. What else they going to do about it? No different than if the mob came and told you as a winner, we're only going to give you 1/10 of your payout. Come back next Saturday, we'll give you another 10th until we're done. What are you going to do? You going to go up against the mob? China's not going to start a war with America because we don't meet our debt obligations. There's nothing they can do about it other than hopefully make some deals and America fulfills it in a different way. Okay, yeah, we owe them more money than we can pay. Come collect it. Good luck on that. Looking in the comment section, by the way, Bears need a better offensive coordinator. It just got fucking lucky. And then you got a player running down the field talking to the audience, not even paying attention. They got lucky. That's all it was. They got lucky. The ball bounced off and somebody caught it. Let me go back to the box, but it should have been their 4th win in a row. I was disgruntled. Happened while the show was in motion. Robert, good evening. Welcome to the program. Cantankerous, my Jesus is not Republican. Name one policy Jesus would support, you prick. I don't think America, we often say America is a Christian country. You show up to the border to protect it against illegal immigrants with guns and not sandwiches and food. I don't believe that's something Jesus would do. Okay, you want to keep the border secure, fair enough. You know these people are considerably poorer than the ones that are trying to enter this country. Okay, you can't come in. We'll look out for you in some way or another. We showed up, you got folks showing up with guns, if you come across lethal force. I mean, to me, maybe I'm wrong, but to me, America does not appear to be a Christian country. Let the box reset. Tried to bring up a caller, the box is playing games, but I will say this. When the wealthiest country on earth says, we're going to stop giving money to poorer countries overseas, and we're going to focus on giving it to other Americans. Listen, I understand why, but it doesn't sound very Christian to me. It doesn't sound like you're concerned with the downtrodden. To me, we're a capitalist country. As far as I'm concerned, if the Last Supper had been filmed in America, Jesus would have sold those folks the bread. We don't give away free shit. That's socialism. Those individuals would have had to pay for that slice of bread. That's the way America comes across to me. Maybe you see something different. Lefties in chat repeating lefty talking points, thinking it's the truth. Richard Dunhill, appreciate your input. What are they repeating? Looking in the comments real quick. Name one Republican policy Jesus would support. Oh, that's in the comments. That's a good one. What Republican policy would Jesus support? Reducing crime? I don't think the Republicans are that bad. How about promoting Jesus himself? Republicans they certainly promote Jesus. There's some policies that I do believe there's a hell of to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I don't think they would support that. I don't think Jesus would support that, but I do believe there are Republican policies. That's an interesting question, though. Let's try it again with one of my subscribers, Twain. Subscribers always get first dibs. Good evening, Twain. I'm a liberal, too, but I'm not handsome like you. Really? My ugly ass finally got a compliment, huh? Usually people are complaining that I don't fit the name, so thank you very much for that, Fred Skin. Twain, good evening.
Good evening, Jim.
Hey, I'm hearing somehow, some way. Now this sounds crazy, but I'm hearing from folks that Trump hosted a Klan rally yesterday. Is that ridiculous?
Ask yourself, Tim, would if that been Kamala's get together, would that same comedian have been there, and would he even have opened his mouth to voice those opinions?
Well, no, but that don't mean it was a Klan rally. I mean, he's a right-wing comedian, obviously.
Oh, yeah. You are gonna go and perform where your type of humor is gonna be more in line with what's going on with your audience. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Do you think what he said was more in line with what a Klansman would say, or what a liberal would say?
You ain't making this easy on me at all. Like, yeah, it's more in line with what a Klanman would say. Yeah, true.
Well, and he was at a Trump rally, and as the gentleman said earlier, Trump could have came out and
corrected
and
it.
when he came out
Yeah.
and corrected it right there on the spot.
That is true.
And he would have got more points. He would have got more points right there, right there. It would have been like when the lady called Obama Muslim, and McCain came out and said, no, he's a good man, he's a Christian, and he's an American. And McCain got points for that.
Yeah. That is something that John McCain will always be known for, is taking that mic from that lady's hand when she said that. Yeah, that is true.
I'm a deep Democrat, but if McCain had ran against Hillary, I would have voted for McCain. Never voted for a Republican in my life, because he's an honorable man. I really believed he wanted the best for this country. He's about the only Republican out to say I would have voted for him, but I would.
It's interesting you would say that, because modern day Republicans don't like John McCain.
But I would have voted for him because he was honorable. The man put the country first, and I always believe that if you can stand up and do these things and really believe it and deep in your soul, that I can trust you. I don't trust Trump. I don't believe anything he says. If he tells me it's raining outside, hey, I'm going. If I was white, I would have suntan lotion, because I just don't believe the man.
Well, let me ask you this question. It's somewhat of a side question. I get how you feel about Trump. Were you happy? Have you been happy with the way the country's been ran for the last 4 years under the Biden-Harris administration?
I tell you why, Tim, and I know they're just going to say I'm just be the typical liberal, but I have woken up in the morning, and I'm not looking for. I'm not going to look at the news and go, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? I go to sleep at night knowing there's some some normalcy in what's going on. We have our issues with the Mideast. We have our problems with Europe and with Ukraine. But I figure the outcome is going to be what's more in line with what's best for America that I could for Donald. I believe that Donald, as the gentleman was said earlier, I believe Donald is just for himself. Now let's look at it this way. If Donald had been a businessman, say he was the head of General Electric,
okay,
where he would have been the CEO, but he had a board he had an answer to, stock people who buying his stock, but he had to answer to them. Then I wasn't to say anything, but Trump was the head of his company, where he could be the final say-so in every decision made in that company. Nobody could tell Trump what to do. And I think he feels like he wants to run the country in that same way.
I agree with that. He certainly, as people say that he's a successful businessman. Well, as a businessman, running your company, you do run your company from a dictator standpoint. And Trump probably would be more effective running a business where you don't have to depend on the input or the approval from other people, which is why John McCain gave him the thumbs down. He's not good at, I guess, mobilizing or gathering a team together. He needs to be able to do it on his own.
The people around him don't matter. He has to be the final say so. And hence, that's not a businessman. This someone who just got lucky. He built the Trump Towers and maybe one or two other buildings, but he made his money mostly off of marketing and slapping his name on other people's successes.
I mean, if at the end of the day, whatever works. I want you to hear this. This is coming from Can't Take It on YouTube. He says, if Donald Trump is a racist, why then did he give $30 million of his own money to black single mothers? What is he referring to?
I have no idea. That's the first time. I'm not saying the gentleman is wrong, but I have never heard that.
I haven't either.
Never had.
$30 million of his own money to black single mothers. I've never heard that before, and I've had a lot of debates on Trump over the years. I've never heard that.
No, I haven't either. I'm not saying he's wrong, but I'm just saying I'm unaware. And because if it was true, I'm sure it would have came up somewhere. One of his people would have, put that.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody would have threw it at me for some of my debates. I've never heard him get. I mean, I've heard people. I had somebody the other day tell me that Trump gave everybody $1,000 in stimulus money. What the hell did Joe Biden do? So I've had people throw some pretty wild shit at me. The notion that Trump gave us stimulus money out of his own pocket. So I'm surprised I haven't heard anything about this $30 million to black single mothers.
Only thing I know Trump really did concerning the stimulus was put his name on the check.
Right.
I know nothing else that he really did. Here's my problem, Tim. I see, as the gentleman said earlier, that Trump came in and for the first 2 years, because any policy that you make as a president, it's going to take 1 to 2 years for it to be implemented.
I have heard that.
And from Obama time until the 2 years of COVID, it was still partly Obama's.
I've heard that, and I don't disagree with that, but my problem is, once Trump is in office, he gets credit for the economy, because if he takes a good economy from Obama and he screws it up, we're going to blame him for it. So if he takes a good economy from Obama and he keeps it going well, he should get credit for that. Otherwise, we're in an environment where the only grade Trump can get is a bad one. That ain't fair. I'll give you the last word, but I do believe if the economy is good under Trump, he should get credit for the economy being good. Last word to you.
Okay, two things, Darren. I'll make it real quick. I'm afraid that if he wins, he's going to take credit for Joe's economy.
Yeah, he will.
Really does.
He will.
And the second thing is, I live about 2.5 hours from D.C., and the commanders were y'all butt. Yes, they did.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that.
Yes, I loved it. Oh, God. My old lady, I was in the room screaming, watching the game, and I said, oh, man. For about 15 minutes, I'm screaming at the TV.
I'm watching. I got the game because when I'm doing my lives, I got usually CNN or Fox News or something on the big screen behind me. I had the game on. Even though I was paying attention to my viewers on the live, people in the live stream started telling me the Bears just lost by Hail Mary, and I'm looking at the TV. I can see the replay. I was pissed. I got to go, Twain. I got to go. I don't want to hear that shit. All right. Appreciate it. All right, going back to the box, I do wanted to point out there is that Tim Smile Ghost Rider who told me my program is a piece of shit. Ghost Rider, appreciate seeing you in the comment section. Thank you folks that are tapping the screen. 110,000, is that possible? Tap the screen, get the likes up. Smash that like button on YouTube. Let's go for make 90 happen. Appreciate the Elvis look there. I didn't get a chance to acknowledge who sent that. Was it DJ Julio? Appreciate that. Speaking of which, going to the box, the policy they have affects everybody. All those people are dying because it's their fault, because of their policies. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. What people are dying? What are you talking about? Chris, hey, I don't know what that was. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, their policies, and keep on giving terrorist money? Terrorist money? The other reason why this war is happening in Israel, it is innocent Muslims are dying, innocent Jews are dying. And you're blaming October 7th, Hamas going into Israel, which is what sparked this war. You're blaming that on Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, really? You think Hamas, before going into Israel, consulted with the vice president of the... Really? MAGA reacts. I don't know about that one. I think there's reason to criticize politicians, but I don't know about wanting to get at Kamala Harris so bad you're blaming her for the acts of Hamas. She's only the vice president. MAGA reacts. Good evening.
Hey, how are you? Hey. I mean, Trump said it a million times. Like, he kept Iran broke. They had no money to give Hamas or Hezbollah to attack Israel. That's why it didn't happen until Biden released a lot of oil money back to Iran. Hell, they released $7 billion to Iran a month before October 7 and $10 billion a month after.
So you're saying that the Biden administration released money to Iran and they used that to fund Hamas?
Yeah, and Hezbollah. Oil prices were low during Trump's era, administration or whatever, so they had no money because they make all their money off oil. Even Russia had very little money because their main money maker is oil, especially after we put all those sanctions against them. That's all they have is oil. But they're able to wage this war against Ukraine because the oil money is saving them. That's all they have. You think that would have happened if Trump had not have broken the Iran deal, ruining our relationship with Iran? Because he broke the Iran deal and put nothing in its place. I don't think we need the Iran deal. I think sanctioning them and keeping them broke worked better. The people of Iran were protesting. I ran into a couple of them in Canada when I was visiting, and they were like really mad with the government and how they were telling me how things were much better under Trump because they were rebelling against the government. I remember that one lady got killed by the government for not wearing her hijab, and they had protests all the time during the Trump presidency, and it all stopped when Biden came. I've never heard of the country's people say we are doing better under sanctions. You're saying the tougher sanctions of Trump led to the citizens doing better? How? Was oppressing them less. Huh? Their government, which was oppressing them, was weaker because of the sanctions. Like, their government really terrorizes them, and they had less money to do so. At least that's my logic. I'm going to question that one. That doesn't sound right to me. I mean, I got it straight. I mean, it was only like a 30-minute cab ride where I asked him about all this stuff, kind of like you driving in your car. I was doing the same thing with him. Right. So this is what he told me, and that's where I'll leave it. Well, yeah, but at the end of the day, you could interview one American and get one description of this country. Then you could interview a Black American or Hispanic and get a whole different. I mean, you interviewed, a few folks from the country, just like I get folks from Canada. Some hate Trudeau, who is the Prime Minister of Canada, and he leans left. And then I get folks that favor him. I mean, you happen to catch a few people who had that opinion. But the point I'm making is, under Obama, we had somewhat of a diplomatic relationship with Iran. Trump comes along and breaks it and basically says, I'm going to threaten you into behaving. I'm not going to give you any diplomacy at all. The only diplomacy America and Iran is going to have is Iran is going to be under threat. And you think that's a better outcome? Yeah, because he saw that we're better off making the Saudis and everybody else in the area our friend and using them to create peace. And that's how he got the Abraham Accords, by making them our best friends and using them to check Iran. And like I said, I mean, if you look at the news, look up the news, there were more protests from the Iranian people against the government during Trump's 4 years than any other time before or after. Yeah, but it didn't amount to anything. It didn't. That's like saying that under Trump, Kim Jong-un was not firing missiles. Okay, it didn't amount to anything. Though nothing permanent came out of it. Because Biden took over and started releasing money back to them. No, it's because Trump didn't. It's not because Biden took over. It's because Trump didn't secure any kind of official deal, treaty, or anything to work with. He just was, while I'm in office, things are going well. Well, eventually you got to leave. If you don't get any treat, like Obama got a deal. Obama got a signed on the dotted line deal
Trump got to meet Putin. He got to meet Kim Jong-un. But that just means as long as he's in office, things will go smoothly. You're not a dictator. You're not going to be in office forever.
That's very true, but if he had 4 more years, I think he could have finished the job. He wasn't expecting to lose. And the problem is, by the time he got used to and figured out things, he was new to politics. So the first 2 years were kind of a wash because he was still learning. And then by the time he figured out things, CV-19 hit, and then he lost, and he kind of got cut short. So a lot of us want to see what would happen with 4 more years, but it kind of sucks because he has to start not from zero, but he has to start all over.
Pretty much from zero. And some might suggest that if he didn't act the way he acted while in office, he would have gotten 8 years. I'm one of those people who believe on paper Trump's presidency was not that bad. I mean, I'm not a fan of how he handled COVID-19 that you brought up. But outside of that, if he was acting presidential, the liberals didn't like Bush. But at the same time, I mean, you don't expect them to like a guy on the other side of the aisle. But I mean, it is what it is. He was a presidential president. If Trump was acting like a typical president, I think he would have got those 8 years you're talking about. But he was too busy bullying and attacking people, and MAGA was too busy cheering on and loving it, and the insults got him kicked out.
I think it was a mix of the media being like 99% against him. And on top of that, you're right. Trump's going to be Trump. Like, the things that make him a bad candidate are also the things that make him like a good candidate.
Yeah, and the media was against him because he was attacking him constantly too. I've been to a couple of Trump rallies. He gets up there. Now, the rallies are fine. The people treated me nice. He gets up to the rally and he's saying something that is controversial, and he goes, well, CNN isn't going to show that. They're turning the lights off back there. That's a lie. They're covering it. I'm looking right behind me at one of the CNN cameramen. That's a flat-out lie. So there's a reason why the media...
Come on, that's funny.
Is it funny to the media you're accusing of poor coverage?
Like, they definitely... It wasn't like poor coverage, it was just only negative
It's a
coverage.
lie.
What he did.
It's a lie. You're making lies at other people's expenses. You say it's funny, fair enough, but you're making jokes at somebody else's expense. It ain't meant for CNN to laugh at that. You're making a joke at their expense.
I also agree with you. He does have very thin skin, and that's his biggest issue.
Yeah.
And who started it, the media or him? I think it's the media. But
wait a minute. Hold on. So. You do realize according to some of Trump's closest friends and associates, the only reason he ran for president was because Obama embarrassed him at a roasting session. So it ain't the media. It started with him having thin skin. He had thin skin before he was even president.
No, yeah, he always had thin skin. But if the media would have left him alone or been fair to him, he would have been fair to them.
Bullshit. You realize how many people that he's attacked? Colin Kaepernick never attacked Trump. Black Lives Matter wasn't attacking Trump. What do you mean if they leave him alone? If Trump thinks it is going to be career advantageous for his career, you don't need to attack him first. He'll come and get you.
I don't know about that. I know a bunch of people that once they were nice to him, he was nice to them, and all was forgiven. Like, he doesn't really hold grudges, but if you keep attacking him, he's going to keep attacking you. I mean...
He's holding.
I don't know what to tell you.
Hell, he don't even like Nikki Haley. He don't even like Nikki Haley because he's holding a grudge. But let me ask you this:
no, she's campaigning on his behalf, and he's talking good about her again.
Talking good about her. Okay, what happened at this rally yesterday? People were telling me that shit was akin to a Klan rally. What say you?
No, I mean Tony. First of all, Tony, whatever, I can't say his last name. He's not a right-wing guy at all. He does this show, Kill Tony, and all he does is roast people 24/7. And honestly, he wasn't even getting that many laughs. If you watch the whole thing, he wasn't getting many laughs. And and Trump wasn't there. A lot of people were like, "Why didn't Trump come out and correct him?" Tony was like one of the first people, and Trump didn't come in until much later. So, I mean, this is Tony being Tony. He's always been like this. It has nothing to do with him being right-wing or left-wing. He's been like this for years. He's gotten in trouble before. I'm surprised he was there because I didn't know he was MAGA at all. I mean, I watched his show like religiously. I had no idea he was MAGA other than being in Texas. And,
well, with Trump having 4 hours between the two, any idea why Trump didn't suggest that, listen, we don't represent what he just said? Trump could have cleared that up, couldn't he?
He probably had no idea it happened until later. Like I said, he's in his own little world getting ready to read his speech. He probably had no idea what was said before he got there.
Fair enough. Well, it's been almost
even in the building at that time.
Okay, fair enough. Well, it's been about 24 hours now. Any idea why he hasn't cleaned it up now?
Well, his campaign came out right away and says that they don't support that joke, and that was they had nothing to do with it. I guess they should have read the jokes. I mean, I don't know if he said that joke off the cuff or he just had it ready and it was approved beforehand. I would like to know those things before I judge, but as far as I know, they came out right away and they said we don't endorse any of. Do you think
what he said sounds racist at all?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's definitely bad, but like that's the kind of jokes he does. Like he's like
he does really racist jokes.
Guy. I don't know what to tell you. Like
he does racist jokes, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, he does way worse shit on his own show. Like if you watch Kill Tony on any given day, I mean if I didn't know better, I would be like he's trying to get canceled all the time.
So what you're saying is
he was MAGA. He just showed up out of nowhere. I was like, what the hell?
So what you're saying is based on what you're saying is that he has a comedic history that shows he uses racist jokes, and that's the person they went and hired. You think that maybe they hired him because he was going to say that stuff?
I think they were happy to get any kind of celebrity to come in and speak in this thing. And whoever said, yes, I'll do it, like Hulk Hogan or any of these guys, they just like, okay, there you go. Who else are they going to get? All the other celebrities are too afraid or just
what the hell? Wait, Greg Gutfeld. What do you mean who the hell are they going to get? Greg Gutfeld from Fox News is a fairly funny comedian that has done very well, and he could do what he doesn't use the racist jokes. Greg Gutfeld would fill in that slot perfectly.
I know, but it means a lot more. Like I said, Tony is more known to be in the center or even in the left. If you know,
he's known to be racist, according to you. There's no way in hell he's going to be known for those kind of jokes and be left. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, he's not racist. He just says edgy jokes. Like you got to know the guy. You're judging him off one joke in a MAGA rally. If you watch his complete work, he insults everybody, and overall, I mean, he's one of the Rogan comedians, and he's in that world. He uses Rogan's comedy store or whatever comedy place all the time. I don't know what to tell you. Like they were just happy to get a guy that's not known to be a right-wing guy, because they're doing their best to reach.
Okay, what about the other folks? Okay,
get people that are not known to be Fox News people.
Fair enough.
That's why they use Gret.
Fair enough. So what about the folks that followed him, suggesting that Kamala Harris is the Antichrist and that she has a pimp, indicating that she's some kind of prostitute? You have any opinion on that?
Just the same old religious extremes. Like the left wing have their extreme side, we have our extreme side. I don't endorse that either. Okay. I mean, at least with Tony, he's just trying to make people laugh, and he isn't really aiming to be racist. He's just trying to be funny. With these people, both sides have crazy people.
You're talking about black people. Wait. You're talking about black people in watermelon. You're talking about, Puerto Rico being an island full of garbage. You said he's not trying to be racist. He's trying to be funny. How about he's trying to be racist and hoping that it's humorous in the process to that particular audience?
I mean, he's got audiences of all kinds, and he always jokes like that. It has nothing to do with that. In fact, if you watch it, the audience wasn't laughing. They weren't getting most of his jokes. So again, he's new to this world. I think he was struggling up there. If you know him, his audience is not right-wing at all. Like, it's all over the place.
I can't imagine him saying jokes like that. You think that would have worked if he went? Okay, he was in Madison Square Garden. If he left and went and hung out in Harlem or the Bronx and used those same jokes at a local comedy club about blacks eating water, you really think he would have got a bunch of laughs at that stuff?
He had his own show in Madison Square Garden like a month ago, and he had all the same jokes. Not the same jokes, but similarly edgy jokes. They had they had 2 or 3 Kill Tony episodes at Madison Square Garden last month, and they all had the edgy jokes like that all over the place.
Okay. Well, if there is one thing I think I've been able to get out of what you're saying about this guy is that there is no way in hell what he did on stage there that day at that rally was a shock. It sounds to me like it's pretty clear that they should have expected him to come out there and make racist jokes. Listening to you is pretty clear that's what he does. They didn't hire him and he went overboard. They hired him because they expected him to go overboard.
I honestly don't think they knew who they were hiring. They just heard this famous comedian wants to do this, and they just gave him the job. They had no idea who they were hiring.
But you know.
I know because I watch everything. I'm all over the place. That's why I'm here.
Come on now.
Again, he's like at the outskirts of the road.
You're going to tell me they would have potentially hired Wanda Sykes? I mean, come on now. They didn't vet the guy. They didn't know none of his material. They didn't check to see if he.
Sykes said she was willing to do it, and she's on our side in any way, or she's willing to,
No.
If it's someone that would kiss, I don't want to say kiss out, like if someone said they would do it and they're famous, like if the Daily, what's his name, Jon Stewart. If Jon Stewart said he would do it, I think they would have let him do it.
You gotta be off your fucking rocker. You really think they would have put a far left comedian like Jon Stewart or Colbert or somebody? You really think that if one of them agreed to go to a Trump rally, Trump would have put them on stage? Is that what you're telling me?
As long as he's fair, because Jon Stewart makes fun of both sides, and so does this guy. He usually makes fun of everybody.
All right, I gotta move it on. I don't have anything else to say after you said some crazy shit like that. MAGA reacts.
Jon Stewart's a bad example, but
it's very bad.
Someone of his caliber, if he's switched to our side, they would have hired him on the spot, not even vetting him in any way, All
right, that's very bad. So they indicate that Trump would put Jon Stewart or Stephen Colbert up there if they vote. That is very bad.
The other side has all the celebrities. They're desperate for celebrities. I don't know what to tell you.
No, you're not going to put a celebrity up there that goes against every damn thing you stand for, and they've made it public about that. I got to go.
No, I didn't say that. They were just excited to take him on. They took him on without knowing what they agreed to.
They're not that naive. I got to go. All right, moving the program. They're not that naive. I mean, somebody among the Trump camp vetted this dude. I mean, come on now. They would just take anybody because, hey, we're excited. No. I mean, what audience is. No, hell no. That doesn't make any sense. I got to disagree with that. Looking in the comments, I do wanted to respond to a comment I seen. Alter Ego, appreciate the hat and mustache. Why is it that only MAGA seems to know this guy? That's a great, great question, Dennis Calhoun. Because his audience most likely has been MAGA all along. That is a great question, though. Why is it that only MAGA? Because I ain't never heard of him either. That is a great question. Continuing on with the program. Low Carb Kimmy, good evening. Welcome to the program. I guess my migraine is somewhat better now. I was dealing with a migraine earlier. That is a good question. Why is it that only MAGA seems to know this guy? Because I ain't never heard of him. J.D. Vance said he was unsure if Tony's jokes were racist. Well, do you expect J.D. Vance to come out and say, hell yeah, this was awful? No. Because then you'd have MAGA saying that J.D. Vance is a piece of shit. There's a lot of spin to it. I'm just glad it wasn't Gillis. Okay, why is it that only Diddy party guests endorse Harris? I don't know. I don't know where the hell you're going with that. First of all, you're talking about P. Diddy. You gotta assume he ain't hanging around a bunch of MAGA to begin with. That's why it might be that only his guests endorse Harris. Now, Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, I bet there's a whole bunch of Republicans hung around him. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about a famous rapper, and you're wondering why the people that hung around him were mostly liberals? But what's next? You're going to ask why were most of the people that hung around Diddy black? Is that the next thing you're going to ask? That should be obvious. Laughing my ass off. Trump went to his parties, and they are pictures. Damn, Kimberly. Did Trump hang around P. Diddy? Oh, my God. We know he hung around Epstein. There's no denying he hung around Epstein. Republicans don't support Diddy. Pass it on. Nobody supports Diddy now that he don't got caught. The immigrant influx reminds me of when slave traders were bringing slaves here on ships. It just seems to me Biden, Harris are modern slave traders. The U.S. destroys countries for our tax base. No, There's no relevance to that at all. When you think about what we were doing to slaves in this country, not only getting free labor out of them, they were raping and everything with them. I mean, raping, murdering them. They didn't wait till they were 18, raping kids and shit like that. Biden and Harris ain't doing nowhere near that kind of shit. In fact, unlike with a slave, an immigrant that comes to America sees an improvement to their life. When slaves came to America, the quality of their life went down significantly. Big difference. If you were an immigrant coming to this country, there's a good chance you get to realize your potential. If you were a slave and you came to this country, your potential was essentially stripped away. You were greatly reduced. You couldn't even learn to read. Most of the things you may have been capable of in your native homeland was stripped of, not even in the same universe, those two things. I appreciate your input and your attempt. Not the same, though. Not the same at all. I mean, being an immigrant, first of all, immigrants come here voluntarily, too. That's another thing you got to add in there. Whereas the slave didn't have a choice. The immigrant coming here can keep their language, can keep their religion. Shit, you couldn't even keep your own fucking name as a slave coming here. It's no comparison whatsoever to that. They didn't have a written language in sub-Saharan Africa anyway, not to be a jerk. Then how did they communicate? You're telling me by the way, they weren't all coming from the sub-Saharan. What are you going to tell me? The slaves that came to America had no way of speaking with each other? They couldn't communicate? Hell, even monkeys can communicate. What are you trying to get me to believe? They didn't have a language? Miss Mo Better. Really? Yikes. Let me go back to the box. Thank you folks that are tapping the screen. We might be able to get to 120,000 if you tap the screen. I don't know what I'm looking at here, but let me continue on with the program. Miss Mo Better, good evening. Welcome to the show. Firstly, it was North America and not sub-Saharan, North Africa, you mean? Because I think my heritage is Ghana, Ivory Coast, or something like that. Yeah, they had a language. Miss Mombetta, good evening.
Hey, Tim.
Hey. Did you catch the rally?
I voted today. I sure
really?
Did.
Hey.
I went out and voted, and yes, I did vote for Kamala.
Really?
I did. I appreciate them exposing what happens at a Ku Klux Klan rally.
Damn.
Because that's what that rally was. Whether they were vetted or not. First of all, when y'all going out picking these people, you got to know who you're picking.
Right.
You're not gonna pee in my ear and tell me it's raining.
Yeah.
You knew exactly who you were getting. You knew what they were gonna get up there and say, and y'all were comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And MAGA gets up here and excuses Trump. Trump has to take that. He has to own that. I'm sorry. I
will say something somebody stated much earlier in the live stream, and that is if you hire somebody that does something like this as their employer, you're going to be held responsible. I mean, if the liberals threw the DNC and they had, let's say, Farrakhan spoke at the DNC and he said, this blue-eyed devil stuff, they would hold him accountable for it. It's not a joke. You hired this dude. So
absolutely,
yeah.
It's disgusting that we've never seen anything like this. That's what I always say. Trump, that's the spirit he brings with him. His lies cost lives, and I stand on that. Wow. I stand on that because there's when his rallies and all kinds of stuff, it's nothing but hate and hate and hate and hate and hate. And not just that, I'm not saying that it doesn't come from the Democrat side either, but it's not displayed like it is with Trump's side.
Yeah, I don't know what the Democrats have done that would be comparable to calling the whole nation of Puerto Rico garbage. I mean, that's pretty bad.
How is that acceptable? First of all, you got Trump on stage talking about a dead man's penis. What kind of policy is that? Make that make sense.
I will say this. One of the things I get accused of quite often doing these live streams, you got TDS, all you do is talk about Trump over and over again, talk about Kamala Harris sometimes. And I will say, she don't do shit that's this controversial so damn. I mean, Haitian migrants eating cats and dogs seemed like it's 10 years ago. He's constantly saying things. There's not enough to come up with about Kamala Harris to even come close to filling the void. We're still talking Willie Brown on Kamala Harris.
And like you said before, before. He could have won with the truth. Why would you go out and start all of these rumors?
Yeah.
Why would you start all of these lies? And now you got people in towns messing with Haitian immigrants and people that have been here working and stuff like that. Now you got people fucking with them in their livelihoods. Yeah. Like, come on, make that shit make sense.
And I will, hold on a second. I will say this, because I see somebody in the comments, GOB says, there's plenty of stuff to be outraged that Kamala says, it just doesn't get into your media. I sure like for you to state some of it.
Elaborate,
elaborate, because I don't mind covering Kamala Harris. I'm fair as fair. Like when she stated that on January 6th, Capitol police officers died. I pointed out that's a lie, and she should have been fact-checked. But she's not saying nowhere near as much controversial shit as Trump does. It's not. In fact, I think it's because Trump deliberately tries to say controversial shit to stay in the news. Whereas Kamala Harris might feel a certain way, right or wrong, she'll say something. I think Trump is the kind of guy that'll wake up and say, what the hell can I say to get these motherfuckers talking again?
Yeah, let me get them riled up. I already got them in the bag. You know what I'm saying? They'll believe anything that comes out of my mouth, and that's what's happening.
Yeah.
That's what's keeping him afloat. Because, and like your previous guest on here, he was covering up everything, trying to dumb down everything that happens under Trump. He has to hold no accountability for anything that happens in his camp. You are the company you keep.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I would look at
like a moral.
Yeah, looking at that comedian Tony, whatever his name was, if they hired him to do a gig in front of liberals at the DNC, you think he would have used that material? There's something about that comedian that felt this audience will like this type of comedy. I doubt if he would have went to the DNC and done the same thing. I don't expect him to go in front of them and say that.
And to boot, that was it was bad for the Republicans. That really, I think that was really bad, and it just had people really looking side-eyed. Yeah. We on the left, we was already looking at them side-eyed, but now it was like, damn, now you're really playing in my face. You're playing in our faces, and how are people supposed to be comfortable with that? And any swing voters or whatever looking like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of swing voters, that's what I was going to say. Will it make a difference, though?
I believe it will, because you have a lot of Latinos and African American people that were undecided.
Yeah,
were undecided.
And you raise a good point, because I brought this up a couple times in the live, that now everybody's talking about Pennsylvania being the state that you must win to win the election. 1920 electoral college vote. So everybody's saying the path to victory is by first winning Pennsylvania. You can win without Pennsylvania, but the path is much more difficult. But I wanted to bring this up because in 2016, Trump won the state of Pennsylvania by only 44,000 votes. Now, Biden won it by 81,000 in 2020. But here's the kicker. In that state, where everybody's saying you need to win to become president, they got 600,000 voters that are Latino. 300,000 of them are Puerto Ricans. 300,000 of them voters are Puerto Rican. So if even a small fraction, let's say 1/8 or a quarter of them, get pissed off about the suggestion that the entire nation of Puerto Rico is a floating garbage dump. We're only talking about a few thousand votes.
Hard. He hit hard, and they are listening. Everybody was listening. That was the main talk today. That made the front news of all the papers, and with all of that stuff. They're listening, and that's why I said, like we said, the swing voters now. That just like, really, this is how you see us. Yeah. And again, to go and say and start deporting people and stuff like that, you can have people that's been here for years. Guess what? They'll deport their ass too until they get the paperwork ironed out.
Well, yeah, he said they're not a fan of DACA. So if you're in the country undocumented, it doesn't matter if you've been here 2 days or 20 years.
Nope.
Yeah, you're not safe. I mean, you're
not safe. And that's why I say his lies cost lives. And to get up there and you have those people that spoke at that rally yesterday, it is proof. Look what you're doing. What did they do to unite anything?
Yeah. But would it really be that bad if he becomes president again?
Oh yeah, because people like that, it gives people like that batteries. They thinking that we're privileged now. We have the backing. Like I said, my biggest thing is that Supreme Court. They're vile people. Yeah. They're vile people, and they have almost unlimited
power to do what they want to do if their palms are greased correctly. That fucking Clarence Thomas, that's what I call him because he was on sale. That fucking Clarence Thomas, we know his ass was guilty years ago when he got away with some shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, like, when they were talking about term limits and stuff like that, all of that stuff need to be put into play. Like, start bringing this stuff up.
Yeah, and Clarence Thomas is 75, and Alito, I think it is 74, or Roberts, one of those. I think Roberts is 69, but yeah, the next president could replace 2 or 3 justices pretty easy because 2 of them are, like I said, one is, huh?
As they should.
Well, yeah, but if
it shouldn't be on the right because they are vile people.
Well,
they really are. They're really nasty people.
Well, it's a possibility that if Kamala wins, she could replace a couple justices. But if Trump wins, it's a guarantee because Clarence Thomas and Alito being 75 and 74, it will be very easy to convince them to step down for the good of the party and let them put in 2 justices. So if Trump wins, he will be the appointee of 5 Supreme Court justices. That's
and that's not going to be good for us.
Yeah, that's guaranteed.
That's really not going to be good for us. Even if Trump gets in, period. I'm sold, and with his supporters, his followers. I ain't say supporters because they're not there. His followers don't believe that Project 2025 has anything to do with him. You're lying. The truth ain't in you.
No.
His name is mentioned in there 312 times. How you gonna say he don't have anything to do with that? And to boot, I read Agenda 47.
Yeah.
It's not much different.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you got an issue with Project 2025 or whatever, Agenda 47 has a lot of similarities, and that's actually something he actually does take credit for.
Information, a lot of similar stuff in there. So it's just like I said, I'm mainly it's for the Supreme Court purposes because right now they're apparently are holding the bag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But what about the notion though? But what about the notion though that most Americans trust Trump with the economy over Kamala Harris? What about the economy? They say it's the economy stupid.
Those are the poor people. The less fortunate people that are in those red states. So the red states, you already know, they get the most government benefits. They get the most benefits, and the blue states are the ones who pay all the taxes. And because we're bigger, we have bigger, numbers.
That's where all the people are.
So they keep saying economy. Let me tell you something, Tim. I went to the grocery store. The grocery stores were packed. The grocery stores were packed. The laundries were packed. The gas station was loaded. The gas is down. You know what I mean? So maybe you couldn't have took 3 trips this year. You might only have to take 1 until you get it balanced out. But the level, the playing field is leveling. People are not looking at the correct things. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, I hear you.
So they, people got to start like really seeing things for what they are.
And you do feel now. Did you vote for Kamala because you favor her, or you just hate Trump that much? Is that a vote for in support of Kamala, or is that a never Trump vote?
It's both. I really support her now, even more now, because again, they've been playing in our face for too long, far too long. You're trying to dumb down her qualifications, her resume. She's worked hard to get to where she is, and the people are not respecting that. That makes me respect her more.
I heard at the rally she had a pimp. Maybe she got where she's at because she's a hoe. I heard she has a pimp.
A drowning man will reach for a straw. Well, apparently that pimp is doing a good job. Got her running for the president. I'm just saying.
All right.
So the people, and especially the black MAGA that don't like her, the black MAGA women are jealous because they were sucking the wrong dick and didn't get anywhere. And the black MAGA men are mad because it wasn't their dick she was sucking.
Damn.
So y'all go somewhere and scratch and fucking sniff. How about that?
Miss Mobetta, you never disappoint. Thank you for coming on. Thank you. None but love to you.
Kamala.
All right. Moving on with the program. Kamala and Biden have given how much to Russia? What about that? What has Kamala and I've never heard. And by the way, Kamala Harris as VP ain't gave shit to Russia. Let me just say that. I get that to deface Kamala Harris, we got to attribute all of the failures of the Biden administration to her. But that's not reality. I mean, the vice president don't do all that shit. At best, at best, you can suggest that she didn't give proper advice on the border, because they did sound like they were trying to at least get her to go down to the border, and she was giving all of these positive statements about what was going on at the border, and it really wasn't that positive. And she continues saying that Biden was in perfect health mentally, when it turns out that that was not the case after seeing the June 27 debate. To me, in my opinion, that's about the biggest criticism you can give Kamala Harris. She ain't got shit to do with the economy. We're talking about how great Trump's economy is. Everybody could afford the groceries. They could afford to feed their family. Nobody's bragging about Mike Pence giving us a great economy. Nobody's giving credit to Mike Pence for any of that. So why is Kamala Harris getting credit for the Biden's economy? Kamala Harris ain't got shit to do with the economy. But because you want to put her in a bad light, you got to give her all the perceived flaws of the Biden administration. She got nothing to do with any of that stuff. Nothing. She don't sign no laws or anything. At best, all she could do is give advice. He don't even have to follow that. I'm going to assume that Mike Pence was giving Trump all kinds of advice he wasn't following. Like, you lost the election, sir. So, yeah, you can't. Kamala Harris doesn't get the credit for all of that. $700,000 per House of Representatives seat. They imported a dozen House seats in 3 years. I don't know where you're going with that, GOB. We all vote for the party that fought to keep slavery. She put more blacks in jail for violent crimes like weed. You do realize, Lars, that while Kamala Harris was allegedly doing all this, Trump was donating to her campaign. So if you want to blame Kamala Harris for doing stuff, he also was funding her campaign to keep her in business while doing so. I guess we should skip over that. I don't know. Vice President does sign laws. I don't think you know how laws work. The vice president signs tiebreakers as a senator. That's it. Yeah, I don't know where you're going with that, but no, Vice President, like I said, you don't hear nobody bragging about how great Mike Pence was as VP. Yet they're giving Trump credit for one of the best economies in recent history. They're not giving Mike Pence credit for any of that. Why is that? Polls show black men up 85% for Kamala, my bro. Yeah, but she's down compared to the likes of Joe Biden and others. So her